Hello everyone, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's edition of the GeoGuessr World League. I'm Toby, I'm joined by GeoGuessr, and before we get things started here, GeoGuessr, how are you doing today?
I am doing great, Toby. I'm so happy to be together with you again on the cast. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Well, I like that. Asking back as well. Usually I just ask and then the other person doesn't ask back and I was like, aw, now I don't get to say how I'm feeling. But I'm feeling great. I'm excited for a day of a lot of GeoGuessr. I'm sure you, the viewers out there, are as well. Last week we got some pretty interesting things happening. We saw Blinky take his first loss. I was curious to see how long he was going to be able to keep the streak going, but it got ended last week. Do you have any highlights from last week that you kind of think of going into today's games, Tilotris?
Any highlights? I don't know. There was a lot of back and forth. There was some games. I don't even remember. I think it was Yannick. Yannick got pretty unlucky on some games. So let's see if he can strike back. Actually, he doesn't play on this slot today. But today we have a very important match to start off is Kirania versus Captain.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I was hoping you were just instantly going to say, yeah, remember that you 5K took place in Denmark. But no, it's fine. That wasn't
I was casting along as well, so I didn't see it.
It was only a highlight of mine. But now let's take a look at the format, get you guys up to speed with how everything works here. And you know what? Now that I have a professional GeoGuessr player next to me, GeoGuessr, why don't you go ahead and explain how the game works?
Of course, very easy. We see it here in the 3 steps. So the first step is that you spawn somewhere in the world. Both players spawn at a random location on the map. And yeah, then we come to the second part, which is the guessing part. So once you've gathered enough information by your surroundings, you drop down a pin, you put a guess down. And by putting down a guess, you put a 15 seconds timer on your opponent. And then it comes down to where the actual location was and where the guesses was in step 3. So yeah, the pointing is awarded based on how close your guess is. And yeah, you start off with 6,000 points and you try to get your enemy on 0.
It's just that simple. It's just that simple. And of course, these players are going to be taken through 3 different game modes. The first one allows you to maneuver around on the globe as you see fit. You can hop up and down the street view. You can turn your camera around. You can zoom in and out as much as you please. Then we hop over to the no move game mode, which includes everything the previous one did, except you cannot move around. You have to stay in location. You can spin around your camera, 360 panorama, and you can zoom in and out as much as you please, but no moving. And then the last one, the dreaded NMPC. No move, no pan, no zoom. It is literally just a still image. Now, we will only get to this third and final game mode if the teams or if the players win 1 match each. Of course, we are playing best of 3s, so we start with move, then we move over to no move, and if it's a tie, 1-1, at that point, we hop into NMPC, which is where the crazy things happen. And now, let's take a look here again. Of course, there's scoring, and just you want to do the honors here? Take us through how the scoring process works.
Of course. It's a best of 3 format, pretty much. You play move, no move, and then maybe an NPC if it's coming down to that. But ideally, you want to move both 2 games because that way you can gain 3 points instead of only 2 points.
Exactly. As you see here on the screen, 2-0 and you get 3, 2-1. Then the losing player, in this case, the red player, gets a point rewarded. Even though they lose, they still get a point for having won a round on their opponent. And what does all this amount into? Well, we'll take a look at the next slide, because here we have our players playing today. And the first match we're going to be seeing is Kirania versus Captain, which is a match that, I know you're looking forward to watching. I'm definitely looking forward to watching it as well. Yeah, it's going to be playing for the next foreseeable future, for the next 3 hours. We're going to have plenty of GeoGuessr coming up, and also, of course, we are going to have more GeoGuessr happening later tonight as well. So Sunday is the day of GeoGuessr. It's the day of good fun, and what better place to be than here, GeoGuessr.
Exactly. And I was mentioning before, the matchup Kirania versus Captain is so important today because the first 12 places of the Geo League qualifies to the World Cup 25 finals.
Yep.
And both Kirania and Captain are on the edge to get to the top 12 here. So whoever gains 3 points in this matchup will get their spot into the top 12. So on both sides. Captain and Kirania have a very important match to do here.
And now that you mention these players and the points they need, let's take a look here at the total leaderboard as it stands right now. As you correctly say, top 12 will go through. Of course, there is still plenty of GeoGuessr left to be played. As you can see, we are in week 8. They're going to be playing 21 weeks of GeoGuessr. So even if you're sat in top 10 right now, top 12 be it, there's no guarantee that you're going to be in. And of course, also, even if you're down at the bottom of the leaderboard, you can still climb your way back up. There's plenty more weeks left to be played. But as we look at the leaderboard right here, is there anything to notice that stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I have to correct myself here. I see Kirania is on 20 points and Captain on 21. So Kirania needs those 3 points. However, Captain only needs 2 to get to the top 12. But besides that, I would say this is pretty much as you expected it. On top, those are the players you, always hear people praise. Radu, Blinky, Consus, those are really the players. We have MK there, who was in the top 2, got 2nd place in last World Cup. So really no surprise on the top there.
Pretty darn decent players, but of course we are for the first match here today. It's gonna be Kirania, it's gonna be Captain playing. As you were saying, they're both kind of trying to get into that top 12. To, of course, again, we're not even halfway through the World League, so you're not gonna guarantee your spot by just making it, and you still have to get there first and then maintain your spot in the top 12. And here we have them on our screens: the TNT Australian player versus the Street Kirania here on your screen. What are your thoughts on Kirania and how he plays, Tris?
Yeah, we have the stats right on the screen. We have a 41% win rate for Kirania, a precision rate of 49%, 136 guesses at 4.5k or higher, and average guess time of 30 seconds, so a very quick-paced player. Yeah,
definitely a quick-paced player. Average guessing 5 seconds faster than our Swede here on screen. Still rocking the Santa hat, still rocking the Christmas vibes. I like it. The Swedish glasses on there as well. 78% win rate, incredibly well-playing player. I had the pleasure of meeting him at DreamHack this summer, and he's just all around a nice guy. And here you can see the matchup. Seems like the game is trying to tell us that this one is going to go Captain's way. But what are you thinking, Just who do you think is going to come away with it?
Yeah, numbers don't lie usually. That's a very high win rate for Captain there, and as well
with
the
9
precision.
matches played only as well.
Yep,
that's definitely the insane part, of course. I mean, by the end of the World League, everyone will have played around the same amount of matches. But Kirania has played almost twice the amount of matches as Captain, yet Captain sits 1 point ahead. He really has been playing incredibly well.
Yeah, and if I didn't see those numbers first, I would have said it's a very, very, balanced matchup, I would say. Kirania versus Captain, I feel like they're equally skilled. So don't get fooled by these numbers.
Nope. Don't get fooled at all, and why could you? Because we're going straight into game 1, and you know what I'll call it? I think we're in France.
You are right, we are in France, and France is a country where you get a lot of signs. As we saw right on spawn, you have those signs. However, usually they aren't that useful. It's usually just very small random towns. But we have a region guess down from Kirania going northwest.
It's that, but it's also the fact that you can see it says D22 on Captain's screen right now. Just because you zoom in on the map and find D22, it doesn't mean it's the correct D22. Viewers, I make that mistake all the time, and then I remember when I make the mistake. But first, it does come through. Minimal damage down towards the southwestern side of France.
Exactly, those D numbers really only help if you have a smaller region down and have a region guess already. But besides that, it's also a pretty hard country to region guess most of the times.
True.
As we just saw by them going north and south. And here we are in South Africa, it seems like. And again, a country that is, I would say, a bit easier to region guess, but still.
What regionally stands out to you here?
This should be northeast with those poles. Those are very common around Joburg and further northeast.
Let's see. Time up, Captain. Has to put a mouse down. He does. And yeah, both in and around Johannesburg. So again, minimal damage being done here. Of course, we didn't go over how the round system works. And it's really pretty simple. You play up to 10 rounds in case no player has gone down to 0 health by the time round 10 has been reached. It's the player with the most points left I say health points, call it what you want. It's the person with the most health left that wins the round. But also, as you can see on the right side, it says damage ×2. There is a multiplier that's being increased by every single round. So the later into the game we go, the more it's going to hurt here. And round number 3 is Captain. It's going to be the first one to get his guess down.
Yeah, he has his guess down in Sao Paulo, pretty much in the center of the state. Kirania is a bit more east, not too far away from each other. However, Captain is almost right on it. And that will be 1.5k damage.
Yeah, big chunk of damage come through, even though they are in and around the same area when it's a country that big. Brazil does tend to pull some teeth out. Now over to a very beautiful, that's incredibly beautiful as a matter of fact, location here as Captain. Did he get sent down onto the bridge? I think they both did there.
Yeah, they both reset it quickly. We are in Taiwan here. Somewhere in a valley. Those palm trees, you usually see it more in the south. But not necessarily. So also mountains in the west is something you don't see too often in Taiwan. That means we are more likely to be in the eastern side of the country. Because the west is very flat. Yeah. So, as a region guess, I would say we are somewhere east or southeast in Taiwan. Not a very big country, but still.
I was gonna say, it's pretty fun to me that players tend to take their time on Taiwan, but then when you go South Korea, they just plonk it, you know? It's like, but this is equal in size, or I mean, maybe even a bit smaller, I'm actually not completely sure. But here, taking their time, it runs all the way down the clock, and it's gonna, wait. Kirania with the 5k to start off the day!
In the right valley, had a little bit of a smile on him. I don't know if he was expecting that, but that's
I mean, he had the water and
yeah.
the bridge. Well, wow! Of course, I mean, for the viewers out there who are maybe new to watching this, first of all, welcome. We love having you here. Secondly, a 5k is the maximum points you can get in a round. It's within, I mean, I guess 180 some meters of the exact location. That is incredible, Kirania.
Definitely. Taiwan also has a lot of valleys that look alike, therefore good on him getting the right valley down here. And we are in Mexico now, a bit deserty, which tends to be more in the north, northwest, northeast. And we are in Coahuila, pretty far north there. And Kirania gets rewarded for committing that far north.
You can see Captain, I mean, in the very last second, he kind of flicked over to the right, but then went back again. Had he gone right, I mean, he would still lose the round, but there would have been a lot less points lost on his part. And you can see that's why he was like, a little frustrated that he didn't stick with the guess as we now head to Colombia. Colombian cross. Yeah. I get that.
Colombian cross, Colombian fence, both on the screen. However, another country that's pretty hard to region guess without clues. So let's see if they get to the right information they need. Or if it will come to a vibe guess, and we have a road number here. The first 2 letters on this 4-digit number underneath will tell us the road number. In this case it is the 45. It's a pretty long highway, therefore...
It does seem that way. Yeah, Kirania is quite a bit further towards the north, still moving his mouse around a little bit, but it's going to be Captain. Wow, instantly locked it in before 7 kilometers off. A ton of damage come through, sends Kirania down to just 800, but he was very quick to lock in the exact location too.
Yeah, that's a strategy that's usually pretty good in moving games. Soon as you have a little bit of information, only if it's the right road number. Sometimes it's just paying off to get the guess down immediately, rather than getting even closer.
Did they get the city off of the sign there? Does it say Novosibirsk on that sign?
I assume so. It's pretty small, but I think it's saying Novosibirsk in the
bottom
center
line, yeah.
bottom. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. That's what I like about Google Maps. The fact that they not only write it in our letters, but the other ones as well. So you can actually, even if you don't speak the language, you can just look at the text and then look at the map and go, okay, there it is. So good on them. Good on them.
In a couple countries, indeed, and we are back in South Africa. Let's see what information we get here this time. For now, I don't see any region-specific clues. However, we have a lot of signs.
4.5 times multiplier, and Captain is quick to guess, barely even zooms in, just plonks it into Johannesburg.
does make sense. As I said, we had a lot of signs, a lot of information. I don't know if they saw something that was telling that region, but it was for the west, and I think we had that town name given, but I didn't know it, and neither did they.
Yeah.
If Captain knew that one, that could have been game.
I was gonna say, but I feel like it's scary times. I know he's got a lot of points left, but that can be very deceiving in rounds like these, as the 5 times multiplier now. I mean, you only have to be a couple of kilometers out off of your opponent, and that's a lot of damage come your way, as Kirania now tries to change the pace up a bit here.
Yeah, we are back where we started, in France, and again, it's coming down to a region guess. We don't really have any clues given besides that. No town names, no nothing.
Sending it into the middle. Kirania is going to come out on top, but Captain playing it smart here, staying afloat as we now make our way into round number 10. Kirania is down by 1,600, make that 1,700 points. He needs to surpass Captain here. Captain needs to end below him in this round in order for him to win it.
Yeah, we are in the final round, and we see Kirania not moving at all. He has to try to get this pressure on with him being lower on health. To turn the game around, he's committing pretty fast south.
Ooh.
I like that guess.
I was gonna say it's a very north to south road here.
In the right region, so let's see where it turns out being. Will Kirania turn it around here?
There's a bit of distance in between them. Let's see who's gonna get it. They're both off by quite the margin, but nonetheless, it's gonna be Captain out victorious, sends Kirania down, and that is gonna be him taking the moving round over Kirania. So Captain 1, Kirania 0, as we now make our way into no move.
Yeah, and I can't blame them for going that far south. It's only a couple of roads that can look like the south in the middle. So in this case, if either of them knew it, preferably, of course, Kirania, as he was low on health, he could have turned it around there. But yeah, first game goes to Captain, and we go over to no move.
No move indeed. And again, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory with the name, but as you can see here, you can spin around, you can zoom in and out, but you only get to stay in place. So if there's a little sign a little bit further up the road you can see but can't quite make out, well, too bad for you, you can't get any closer to it.
Nope, you can't, and we are in a location where there's nothing to work with, really. We are somewhere in the plains of the US. Looks a bit midwestern, but Kirania has a little bit more of a southern vibe. Being down there on the Mississippi border to Arkansas, and it was Texas, actually.
All the way down in Texas. Minimal damage done here, early days in round number 1, no multipliers added just yet. As we now make our way into round number 2. What do we have here? What do we got to work with?
We have a double yellow center line, which sends us to the Americas. In this case, it should be Brazil.
One big turn. Now it's all foliage. And is there anything that stands out to you here?
Not really.
Specifics?
Not really. I don't see anything. Brazil is known to be hard to region guess on locations like this.
So now you're just
however, Captain is going very far east, and he is correct with that. I don't know what he used to get that. Especially with a fairly flat landscape. That's very unusual on the eastern coastline.
He was quick about it too.
Yeah. He saw something, he knew something. I'm not sure what it was.
Yet another location out in the wilderness, but this time around at least they get some electricity poles. But is there any info on there that could give them the info as to the region?
Those poles are very commonly found in South Kalimantan. Those rusty looking poles, a bit thinner, also with the metal possum guard. Was actually in central Kalimantan, right over the province border.
Nonetheless, impressive start for Captain here as we make our way into round number 4. Hits home once again. Still sits, I mean, now around 2,000 health ahead as we head into yet another big country.
So we are indeed back in Russia. Is that a mountain range? No, that's surely just clouds. Hopefully.
Could fade you, yeah, could fade you.
mountain ridge like this is pretty unusual in Russia. But they are both pretty far east into the country. I should say central. Is that central? Is it east? Because most of the stuff in Russia happens in the west. There's only a bunch of cities in the...
Wait, is he actually lining up a 5k, Captain?
Yeah, they are both in the same city. However,
yeah. That would have been amazing. It's a tie, 4998. Do we have a tie emote on Twitch? I'm not sure we do. I hope that we do, though, because I love it when it happens. Cling! They just go straight up to one another.
Not sure, but yeah, that's pretty satisfying if you get it from both sides. We have, is that MT? So yeah, that should be Mato Grosso if that's an MT abbreviation on that road marker.
Quick info for the viewers out there, you can zoom out long enough on the map so you just see the abbreviations as well when you're playing Brazil. I had to learn that the hard way, but okay, Kirania hits home here in Brazil. Could be pretty big points, 1400 at that. Gonna get things closer to tied here now, making our way into round number 6.
Yes, I don't think there are a lot of regions within Mato Grosso where you get a mountain ridge like that. So knowing the terrain in Mato Grosso really helped out there. Because usually it's just a bit more flat. Move over to this round. I'm not sure here. It should be Malaysia.
Oh, there's a difference. The distance in between them.
Maybe it is actually Indonesia. I mean, the white lines are a bit more common in Malaysia, but you get them also on Indonesia from time to time. In this case, it wasn't. Kirania is.
This could have been massive. I mean, this is one of those rounds.
But
this is one of those rounds that both of the guys are gonna be looking back at, going, "Oh, that's where I could have had him. Like that's where I could have won this round." Because both of them off by quite a bit, as we now get yet another round out in the open.
Indeed, and I'm trying to find the right information. I don't see much. We have a concrete pole. Again, it's more likely to be in Malaysia than in Indonesia, those concrete poles. Usually you will find some stickers on them. In this case, we don't. Therefore, these players will take their time to double check if it actually is Malaysia. We have a Langkawi Island. Yes, from Kirania. He didn't send it yet, but he is hovering on it with his pin.
I like the commitment. Now it's shifting off.
On both sides. On both sides. Captain is all the way on the east coast.
Yep. 4 times multiplier. This could hurt quite hard. 2700 health on the side of Kirania. Doesn't want to get this one wrong, but locks in anyway. Up on the border towards Thailand. Let's see what Captains goes through. It stays out towards the east coast. And not rewarded. Both of them off again, and it's the same island once more that bamboozles them.
Yeah, now in hindsight, you look back and say, oh, there was no sticker on the pole. So the Borneo Island is more likely without a sticker on the pole, but it can definitely also happen on mainland. Therefore, no one to blame here as we move over to this next round, which is again somewhere in the plains, but this time it should be in Argentina.
What tells you Argentina? Is it all and like all electricity poles?
The poles, yes, those A-frame poles, I want to call them. Those concrete A-frame poles. But also the vegetation, those white spiky flowers. Very commonly found, especially in the Buenos Aires province. But I could see it being a bit more north-northwest.
Do you think GeoGuessr creates biologists or like geologists? With how much you learn about nature and landscape, maybe people get a passion for it by playing GeoGuessr.
It could. I mean, I definitely learned way more about vegetation playing this game.
Exactly.
Than I expected to a couple years back.
Yeah. Let's see now, both of them taking the time. Kirania does log it in with a couple of seconds left. Captain letting the time run out. But they are, once again, in and around the same area. Both almost equally far from it. Just 50 damage done as we make our way now into round number 9.
And from now on, Captain only needs to be decently close with how much health he has of an advantage. However, it's not that easy in a round like this. I want to say the default guess here is maybe somewhere in the southeast United States.
Is it the pavement type or like the asphalt?
I would say the vegetation primarily in this location. We have those what you call southern pines. But yeah, besides that, you look at the pavement quality. Also, of course, the Google car not being visible is also something that's very commonly found in the United States. And if you combine those 3 clues, there's really not much left, and we are actually in South Carolina there.
Just on the border between that and Georgia, and it's going to be enough for Captain to bring home game number 2, making the swift 2-0. I say swift, it almost went 10 rounds twice. So a head-on-head match, but Captain comes out victorious 2-0 against Kirania.
Yeah, and the numbers actually didn't lie. He is still on top with the statistics. Very good guesses overall. I mean, Kirania played also very well, so yeah, no blame on him, especially. Also the Taiwan round, we saw a random 5k out of nowhere. So yeah, both played very, very well. We saw them going very deep into the games, almost to round 10 on both times.
It's definitely the game of consistency when it comes to players like this. And that's why I was saying on that round where it was Eastside Indonesia, when you get your opponent off by as much as they would have both loved to be on point in that round. Because you only really get maybe, like out of, what was this, 19 rounds, you get maybe 1, maybe 2. And when it's the best players in the world, they don't even. Like when you get a chance to get your opponent that far off the target, you really want to be on point. And unfortunately for Kirania this time around was not his to be, but a great game nonetheless. Any rounds in particular, Geologius, outside of the Taiwan 5k that stood out to you?
Standing out to me, I would say the Russia guesses were also pretty impressive. I mean, getting Barnaul, I don't know if there was a city clue. They both ended up being in Barnaul in the city, but I didn't see any clue for it, so I don't know if they just recognized the city or if there actually was one.
Well, I mean, Captain comes out victorious 2-0, but we send it straight into our next match. It's Belgium versus Germany. It's Trixa versus Lendley, and they're already on here. You can see Lendley has come off to a good start as we make our way into round number 3 of game number 1.
Yes, and this time we have the sticker I was talking about earlier. The concrete pole with the black sticker on it. It's actually not a sticker. We call it a sticker, but I think it's just a painting. But there's just some lingo we have.
Is it painting meta? Is it sticker meta? Who knows?
It is a painting, but we call everything that's attached to a pole, we always call it a sticker. Also
Fair.
In France, we call it a blue sticker on the pole, even though it's just a chip attached to it.
When in doubt, call it a sticker. I
just
like
call it a sticker. You're
Yep.
good of just calling it a sticker. So yeah, we should be on mainland Malaysia here. Now the players are trying to get some better info, which Lenley has on his screen. He has some road numbers, some town names. I can't really make it out. It's saying port something, so I would assume we are somewhere coastal.
We'll have to see. A lot of info to be had, but can you line it up? You can see Lenley is kind of jumping back and forth between Georgetown and Kuala Lumpur. We'll see what ends up being actually on the south side of Kuala Lumpur, down towards the airport. I know, because I was there less than a month ago. Gorgeous, gorgeous country. But for this time, Trixa, wish that he had been a bit further south.
Exactly, and now we are in Argentina. Again, in some plains, but we have signs right away. Trisha didn't get to them yet again. Lenley is on the sign first. Trisha is there now, and now it's just coming down to who can use the information quicker. We have Lenley on a road already, but so is Trisha.
Are we lining up a little morning 10k here, perhaps?
They are lining it up. Lining it up definitely helps to rule out regions to scan, because especially in a country like Argentina where a road goes like forever.
Yeah.
You can rule out some areas to scan if you like have an east-west road. It doesn't make sense to look for those town names in a north-south road. So that's why lining it up.
You have the train tracks though. Could potentially help you. We'll see. It's not all of them that are on the map, but of course, let's see now. Seems to me like they are both gonna be close. Just a couple kilometers off. Trixa that wasn't zoomed in quite as far as Lenley was there in the end, so a bit off-road on his part, but nonetheless, phenomenal guesses by both.
Definitely, definitely. And in this case, Lenley getting to the sign first and getting to use the information first gave him that slight advantage there to make more use of the time. However, not many points dealt there, and we are in the neighboring country now, in Uruguay.
I don't feel like it's too often we get to go to Uruguay, but of course, quite a bit smaller country. That would be the reason why.
Yeah, definitely.
But coverage-wise, how are we looking in Uruguay?
I mean, for a country like that, I would say Uruguay has a good bunch of coverage. So, somewhat of a learnable country, but you have to commit to learning it.
And well, seems like both of these guys did, because once again, it's going to be minimal damage come through 9 at that towards Lenley as we continue on, both in the right city. Could have been a 10k in the making, but not quite to be.
Not really, not really. And now we are in South Africa. We are driving on the left. And this time we don't have a sign right away, which makes it maybe a bit more interesting. Maybe not, because they are gonna drive down a road without anything for a while now. So let's see who is getting to the right information first, if there's any information nearby.
Big signs for Lenley. Top Flyy Academy. I think there's an airport nearby. Don't know what tells me there is, but maybe if you know where Pelsa Airport is, you could potentially 5k this. Doesn't seem to me like Trisha or Lenley knows though.
Nope. I don't think they know. I don't know either. But yeah, I like where Lenley's hovering somewhere around. Pretoria is what I thought. They are both south of it. Lenley went a bit more west. Changed his guess to his good.
Okay. Both hovering south side Johannesburg, but it's going to be Lenley closer as he gets to himself a sip of water. Of course, for all the viewers out there, stay hydrated while you're watching these games. Just like the pros are.
Very important indeed. So what do we have here? Looks like Australia. Now, you might ask the Lotus why.
I mean, we're driving on the left side of the road. Red Google car. English text. Very beautiful south side landscape.
You got it.
Bullets.
You got it.
There's enough to go by. I know my stuff, which is a little. But of course, I mean, it's I know a drop, you know? I finally learned a drop in the ocean that is GeoGuessr. But at least I've jumped in, you know? I've jumped in with both feet. There's a massive Australian flag there as well. So I guess that, in case you're in trouble, could help you out a bit too.
And we should also be in Queensland with those pole markings we had. Again, poles are always a good source of information. And in this case, we had another black sticker. Again, it's a painting. We call it a sticker. Which is commonly found around the greater region of Brisbane. And this time it was pretty far inland.
Lenley lost 9 points so far in all these rounds, which is impressive. But considering the fact that he's won 6 rounds, you would have hoped that Trisha would be down to lower HP or maybe all the way out at this point. But he's been able to stay in. And now that we're up to 4.5 times multipliers, one mistake on the side of Lenley could cost him this massive lead that he's been able to gain himself.
Exactly. And especially in a moving game, a health advantage is way more beneficial than in a no-move or an NPC game. Because usually it's coming down to who is just slightly closer in a moving game. So most of the time you get the right region down, and with almost being on full HP, I would say Lenley is in a big advantage right now. As we are back in South Africa again. And Lenley got 2 very good signs yet again. It's pretty good at getting to the right information.
This is the city we were in just before Kirkstorp. I think is where the airport was just a few rounds ago. Let's see. Trisha is just on the northern side of Johannesburg. Who will get the reward? It's going to be Lenley. Is it going to be a 5k? No, but close there too. 4998 and not. He knows it. Close. Felt good about that one, and he is going to get himself the win in game number 1.
Yeah, shout out to Lenley. He did an amazing job to get to the right information on almost every single round. He was either the one who got to the information first, or at all, because in this case, Trisha didn't get the right sign.
Exactly. Trisha, though, stayed in the race for a long time, but in the end, the 3rd time we go to South Africa, Lenley hits home, and there it was. Lenley out victorious in game number 1. Now we go to game 2. It's no move, and let's see where this first round takes us.
And it seems like to be Taiwan. Yes, we have the pole.
Yet another Taiwan.
And this time it's super flat. So we have definitely in the western side of the country somewhere. We have banana plantations, I think. I saw some. Those are commonly found where Lenley is with his pin right now. But Trisha also isn't too far away from that. But yeah, Lenley is right on it.
Quick guess.
To know.
Come through, minimal damage done. Of course, small countries don't really hurt that hard, especially not when it's early days here in game 2. But let's see what the next round has to offer as we go miles out into the open once again.
Definitely, and this time we don't have a lot to work with. Let me see, it's
I really want to go down that road and see
road.
the house just over the hillside, but
Yeah,
unfortunately.
but based on the landscape, I would say it looks like the United Kingdom, maybe. Let's see it being UK
Text
or maybe
does say
Ireland.
danger.
And yeah, especially with that English on the sign, I would say maybe.
Is that a brown
Maybe
highway
UK
sign in the
makes-
distance, or am I trolling? Like to the left of where they are, up there.
I can't really tell.
It kind of looked like a highway sign in the distance. Now, of course, they aren't really zooming in on it anymore. You can see Trisha using his roof meta as best as he can on the farmhouse down there at the roadside. But both of these players taking their due time with getting these guesses in. Border, right in the middle, is where one is going, but Lenley's in
we have
Spain.
Spain against from Lenley.
What? I didn't even
And it was
realize.
all the way south, so
Huh.
yeah, I think it's the best outcome for Lenley, really, for that being
True.
that far south in the country. So Trisha didn't gain as many points as he wish he could have. And in this case, we have a very recognizable landscape. I think this is the road from BC to Yukon, British Columbia to Yukon.
Oh, does that mean 10k? Or is the road long enough that this ain't
Maybe-
happening?
It is pretty long. I think it's a 37. I am not.
And what makes this
100%
road in
certain.
particular so recognizable? Like that you can just go in and always know where it is as a professional
I would
player.
say the wet road, the rainy coverage, combined with the snow-capped mountains, the Gen 2 camera, all three things combined is something you don't see on too many roads. It can be a couple, but yeah,
And
I
also
think
for
most
all
common
you
on the
viewers out there
37.
hearing Gelotrius just like literally mic drop on you with all the info that he's throwing out there casually, like, you know, the Gen 2 camera, this car, this. It goes to show how much there is to learn in a game of GeoGuessr in order to be a high-level player. They're both in the right area. No, actually, they're both completely wrong.
It is a 37, but it is pretty much where the 37 starts. It starts down there and goes all the way up.
We asked if it was a long road. Indeed, it
So-
was. As we now go a little more urban this time around.
We do, and we are in Turkey.
Okay, you know, this is your round. You talk. Let 5k this from me, Gelotrius.
It looks like a Konya bus stop. However, the location itself did not strike me as Konya, so now I'm confused. But it should be southwest somewhere. If it is in Konya, then it should be south of Konya, like very far south of Konya, which is the central city, central western. The landscape overall doesn't look like it. Yeah, it does look northeast, but I would say the
Is it a
bus
bait
stop
round?
looks
Is that
like-
what it is?
It could be.
Makes you look like one thing, but it is in fact another. We've had it happen a couple of times already where both players were off by a bit.
Could be, yeah. So they both end up guessing central north.
In and around Korum is where Trisha is. We'll see if he
Yeah.
ends up being victorious, but nope, it is up towards that.
It
No, you're
is
right,
South Konya.
southwest. It was towards the southwest, and once again, both players bamboozled. But good thing we have Gelotrius here in the studio to drop some Turkey
course.
knowledge on us.
I mean, I don't expect anyone to know Konya bus stops, but in this case, it's very handy to know because that really looked like central north. So I can't blame them for their guesses. It does make sense, but yeah.
I know it probably
given-
won't be, but this could look like Denmark. I was going to say it's probably going to be Poland and northern Germany, but in a weird world, it could look Danish.
I do agree, though. Especially those houses also look kind of Danish, like
that's
this
what I was
long
thinking.
form, like, yeah. But yeah, by default, I would say
I don't think we have a lot of dirt road coverage in Denmark. I know there's a literal map called Danish Dirt Roads, but even that has non-dirt road roads on it because there just aren't enough coverage on them. But let's see, where are we headed? We are in Poland, and both of the guys were pretty close to Lenley. Wrong country for him. He didn't feel good about it, so he turned off his webcam. That's fair enough.
Not. If you're representing Germany and make a bad guess in Germany, you turn off that camera right away.
But I like how we've kind of spun this on a dime. Last game in the moving round, it was Lenley sat with barely any damage taken, constantly pushing Trisha further and further down. But now it's gone the other way. Lenley down to 1600. Of course, the Spain guess on the UK round didn't help him a whole lot. But now it's Trisha in the leading seat.
Yeah, there was on a very early round, therefore didn't really hurt Lenley too much. He's still in the game. And this could turn things around, though. We are in Australia. Kind of hard to read in there sometimes. The landscape looks very much like South Australia, though. Those rolling landscapes, very wide sandy soil are two things you see a lot, and they are both around Adelaide, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I could see it being way further west, way further east. But as a hedge, I wanna say those guesses are reasonable.
Gets the lock in. Let's see if it comes through. Nope. Once again, it's gonna be Trisha closer. Is it going to be enough? No, just quite off. Lenley still alive, but at 347, he cannot afford to lose any more rounds now.
Not at all. Not at all. He was already in a situation where he had to lock in. But this time he really does need to. And we are what seems to be like Bali. With this architecture, especially this roof.
I don't see any yoga influencers, so I don't know if I believe you.
Maybe there are some around the corner.
They're on the beach. They're taking selfies.
One of the many good clues for Bali, though.
Let's see. Denpasar, is it correct? No, it's a bit further towards the west. And it's going to be finally Lenley out victorious. Minimal damage done here, though, as we head into round number 8. Lenley needs some big rounds going his way real soon.
Yeah, and a round like this is something Lenley really wants to see. Some small countries to even ramp up the multipliers more to get him back into the game, even if he is back on health. However, we are looking at the Taiwan round. I want to say...
I like it. When even Gelotris is a bit in doubt, that means maybe these players are as well.
No, it is Japan. I want to say it's Japan, right? Yeah, okay. Never mind. It looked like Japan, but I felt like it wasn't Locam, but those signs definitely are Japanese, and the guardrail, especially this white guardrail, is something you see all over in Japan.
They're far apart. Lenley is committing north side Tokyo, but we have Trisha down towards Osaka.
Yeah, pretty big country and very hard to reach, I guess.
Could be big points, and it's going to be right in between. It's just Trisha's the one that gets it. A chest slam there as well as he knows it. Comes out victorious. So 1-1 now between the Belgian and the German as we head into the dreaded, the notorious NMPC. Still image is what you get to work with, just like Lenley's webcam. It's what you get. One still image. In Lenley's case, it's just a black screen, though. Hopefully, we'll get to see his pretty face again in any moment now, as I think he does try and get the webcam sorted. But wow, what a round it's been. Back and forth. First time around. In first round, just Lenley looks unstoppable, but now it's Trisha on form here in the no move.
Definitely. I think he's happy to bring this game to the NMPC format. Maybe that's why he got happy to win that game off in Japan there. And yeah, we have a black screen from Lenley, as you said. Still image. I mean, back to the days, if people in chat maybe remember, back then when maps weren't as maintained as they are nowadays, you often had black screen locations. Yeah. And there was this rule, especially in rainbow tournaments, where if you saw a black screen location, everyone had to guess in Paris. So
that was like a fair play sort of thing.
Yeah, because how are you gonna guess based on a black screen.
Well, I mean, you know what?
very random.
I've seen content with 0.01 second guesses and whatnot, which is practically a black screen anyway. So I feel like you can vibe guess a black screen, see what happens.
Maybe, yeah. But that was the agreement.
Seems like Lindy's camera is back on, so let's get into game number 3. It's an NPC, it's a still image, it's all they get to work with. Let's see who of these two is going to come out victorious.
Yeah, an NPC game already. You see, we all love an NPC as the viewers.
It's like penalty shootouts in football.
Yeah.
It's amazing
I
to watch,
that.
but we also like the fact that not all rounds take us that far.
Definitely, and from a player perspective, I don't know if everyone is happy about playing an NPC, because most of the times, or sometimes, it can just come down to being a bit more lucky. No one likes that, but it's part of the game.
What leads both of these guys to Michigan here? Oh, I say that, but now we actually have Trisha
say those
towards...
pines look very northern in the distance between those two houses on the left. With that vegetation, you consider more the north, like Wisconsin, Michigan, or even Canada.
Let's see. Where is it gonna be? Both
And
off
it's
by quite a
even
bit,
way
actually.
further north. Yeah.
North Dakota, but whoever goes to North Dakota, I mean...
No one. Not with their guesses, at least on this location. It looked, especially also, it being this urban, you consider more that region towards that side of the US, because North Dakota doesn't have as many big cities.
Does it have any big cities? Okay, I'm gonna stop slaving at North Dakota. Sorry, North Dakota. I like you.
Not really.
Let's see here.
Yeah.
East side, or south side, I should say, Russia guess for Lenley. Praying, hoping that he's on point. They're both in and around that area. Oh, wow. What got them this close?
Yeah, and you've talked about this earlier on the Canada round, where GeoGuessr pros use a lot of clues. One of the clues is also, in this case, we also had the camera generation, of course, but also season is very important to learn. Because based on season, you can also rule out a lot of areas of the country. If you know during the spring season there was only coverage made in, let's say in this case it was in southern Russia, in Novosibirsk, those are two where it happened during spring, but then you use, of course, other clues and the looks to rule it down to that region. Not much to say to this round, though.
Yeah.
It was...
small damage come through, but still 3 rounds in a row now for Trisha. Undamaged thus far, as we go into the wilderness once again.
And again, we have the winter season road here, which is the Happy Valley Goose Bay Road in Canada. And they will both know it. Yeah, Trisha's right on the Happy Valley Goose Bay there. Again,
I'm still
it's
baffled by
only
the fact
one
that-
route. It's only one major road going along this area of the country. You see it on the screen right now. It's this long yellow road, and it's during winter, and it has those pines. So if you
There you
have
go.
those
So it's the
three
season
things
combination.
combined, if you have those 3 things combined, it can really only be this road in Canada.
Well, Lenley finally able to strike back, maybe get a little momentum going his way as we head into round number 5. You knew it, they knew it. It was just a matter of trying to pinpoint exactly where on the road we were. As well, we go from a beautiful scenic road into a urban dirt road. What do we have to work with here, Gelotris?
Yeah, that's a good question. Really hard to tell.
What's your
for
vibe?
me
What
there,
are you thinking?
I mean, I like
Kenya?
the Kenya. Yeah, I like the Kenya guess. However, I could see this being all the way to the coast.
Ooh, okay.
I could see this being very far west.
Oh, wow. Okay, so a lot of different vibes flowing through here as we are
And
going to be in Kenya, a bit
it's-
further east. The fact that both of them vibe into the same city goes to show that, I mean, we've talked about this before, where when one player is off, usually the other is as well. Like, they're trained from the same school of GeoGuessr. They've all come up the same way, or at least for the most part, as we now head up towards Norway, I believe. Yeah, with those roads.
long dashed outer lines. Very commonly found in Norway. And yeah, spotting Norway as a country in GeoGuessr isn't that hard, but it's one of the hardest countries to reach guess. Because the amount of times where players go all the way north and it is south, or guess all the way south and it is all the way north, happens way too frequently. And
Norway, vary your terrain more.
yes,
You need to color code your regions.
I don't know if it's a country people just don't bother learning or if it's just too hard to learn, but yeah, Norway can be very tricky.
Once again, players on top of one another practically, but location a bit further away, down towards the south is this one, but as you're saying, a tricky one to pinpoint exactly where you're going to be. As we head into round number 7, what a beautiful landscape. This looks, I mean, I don't even know, they're both going Iceland, it seems.
Correct. We kind of see a very long blur. It's a bit hard to spot, but again,
where on screen are we?
Car meta involved on the bottom.
On the bottom.
But yeah, besides that, the landscape, of course, this grassy, no trees at all landscape is also something you see a lot in countries like Iceland. You see it in Mongolia a lot. Those plains without any trees at all. And
but here we don't have the cool backpacker car.
Again, we don't have it.
So that's Iceland for us. They're on each their side of the country. Now, it's a small country, but 4 times multiply. I mean, it's dangerous to go all the way East Coast. And sometimes you just see players kind of send it into the middle and hedge. Hope that it could be anywhere, really. But Lenley committing East Coast this time around.
Yeah, it seemed like they agreed to be making the same region guess again. But in this case, Trisha switched up to the west. And that's big points for Lenley.
Huge.
Taking a good lead here on round 7 in Iceland.
Huge damage coming through. We know that, I mean, regardless of what happens here, they will both be going away with points off of this matchup. It's going to be 1 point to the loser, 2 for the winner. But that was a big hit onto Trisha to set Lenley up by over 3,500 points as they now both go north side New Zealand, and it seems like Lenley is just gonna plunk it. I mean, he has the points lead, but still 4.5 times multiply. If Trisha gets this locked down with 7 seconds to go, that could be points going his way.
Another country that's very hard to read in this, so I wouldn't be surprised to see it on either way. And it turns out to be a bit more south. Trisha really tried to turn this game around. They're going all the way north.
Puts on the glasses, Lenley knows. Felt good about
shades,
that one.
Showing off his jersey, showing off his glasses.
The showman back on screen. Trisha, unfortunate the loss there. But again, what a great matchup between these two. Lenley looked great through round 1, but then it was Trisha in the it wasn't the no move round to come home and bring that one home. And then, I mean, this one too could have gone either way. They were both off in a couple of rounds. Where had the other one been on point, Geloters, that could have been GG.
Yeah, it was only coming down to just a handful of rounds. Most of the times they had the same vibes, the same region guesses. But it was really, really coming down to 1 or 2 rounds on each game. So yeah, very good game to watch.
Now, of course, there has been a lot of matches played today. 2 other. And as you can see here on the scores, Debra was able to 2-0 race. And then Harrier 2-1 against Swan Gambit. So good matchups coming in. We got to see Harrier play last week as well. Good games coming out of the guy. And now we are going to go over to Spaghet versus Flyy, and then Captain Harrier, Trisha, Rich playing later here today as well. What are you thinking of these matchups we're going to be seeing coming up next, Lotus?
Yeah, I mean, it's Spaghet, Flyy, Captain Harrier. I don't really know. It's very some type of games where it's really hard to predict something.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very even again. Yet again, I mean, it's in a lot of games in the Pro League, of course. It's all high-level gameplay, but especially on the upcoming games, yeah, it's really, really hard to predict.
Now, we have had the pleasure of seeing, of course, all these players play both throughout this World League, but also in tournaments past. I feel like Spaghet is a player in general that likes to take his time on his guesses. I remember one game I casted where he was up against MK. Of course, MK notorious for just insta-guessing every time he gets a chance to, and that seemed to really throw off Spaghet. So maybe if Flyy is trying to, get the upper hand in this matchup, as we are seeing Spaghet and Flyy on screen here, maybe trying to put some pressure on early, like force Spaghet to make some quick guesses that can throw him off. Because as you can see here, 40-second average. He likes to run this clock all the way down to the end, but as you can see here too, for Flyy, similar playstyle and taking his time too.
Yeah, you've mentioned it. They are definitely some slow-paced players. I mean, usually I want to say that's more of a thing that newer players have, the slow-paced gameplay, but then we have MK, who also isn't too long in the game, and he just slams it down. But the stats also look alike. Spaghet slightly high on the win rate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've mentioned it already. We have some type of matchups where both players are very equal in skill and playstyle.
But that's the thing. I mean, look at this. Flyy is set all the way down at the bottom right now, right? But remember, if you 2-0 your opponent, that is 3 points gone your way. And look at, I mean, just look at 30 through 21. That's 4 points.
Yeah.
That is just 4 points between all of them. Look, one row further to the left, 20th all the way up to 11th. That's 5 points. Get a little bit of a win streak going, a couple of points gone your way, and just like that, you're in the top 15.
It's really a head-on-head in a lot of sections on this leaderboard.
But you know what? Let's get straight into it. Let's get into game number 1. We are playing moving, but see, I was going to say, it seems like none of them really want to move, but finally the cars start going.
I mean, sometimes it does make sense to look around your environment at spawn first to get a vibe and then move. Because if you start moving right away and do that all the way through the round, you really don't get the time to really get a vibe guess down. So you put yourself more pressure if there's like a little time left after you move. So sometimes it does make sense. And there's often also good info on spawn, which people tend to miss because they just start moving around.
We said it coming into it that it was going to be a game where players took their time. Seems like they're going to let it run all the way down here as well. Rugby Road. Now, if that's going to be the most generic Australian name for a road ever. Let's call it Kangaroo Lane, you know? It's but 1,000 damage done.
No fitting.
Yeah, I mean, 1,000 damage done to Flyy here. Still early days, of course, but when you get 1,000 damage through in round 1, that can be pretty telling.
Exactly, and we are moving over to this Mexico round, I want to say, with that octagonal pole. I've been talking about poles a lot today, but
you know what? I like it.
They are helpful in a lot of cases. And I feel like it's saying something useful on that. I can't make it out.
Talking about poles all day, but no shout-outs to Shrifan. That's kind of toxic. Chilotris. For the people that got that joke, you probably think I'm a boomer. And I am. So you know what? I take those all day, every day. Now, where in Mexico are we on this one?
I slowly also count as one Toby, so no worries on that.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
As I said, there was some information. I couldn't read it too well, so I don't know if it had information you needed, but it doesn't seem like it because we have Spaghet just being in the capital city, Mexico City, and Flyy going all the way down to Chiapas.
When in doubt, go Mexico City. Spaghet did, and he comes out victorious. Round 2, but big damage done once again. Chiapas, I mean, I don't know what sent Flyy down there, but that's a big loss. We're only into round 3, and he's under half health.
Yeah, that's something people like to meme. Players say you're always good off just guessing CDMX, but in most cases, it actually is just the move. There's no point in trying something special, especially in Mexico, where it's very hard to.
Is there extra blurry car meta to this specific car, region-wise?
Extra blurry? No, I wouldn't say.
I just feel like the blur sphere is bigger. You know what I mean? Like more of the screen is cut off.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of different car clues in India, where it's just too much to learn.
Fair enough.
Because that's like basically like learning just every city, or learning how every city looks like. It sounds reasonable in the head.
Isn't that what you try to do, Chilotis? Just know everywhere and you win?
If you want to do that in India. There are countries where you can do it, but India is one of them. India is something where you learn poles, where you learn architecture, languages. Those already give you the right region most of the time.
Well, it's a far southern one, and finally, Flyy able to strike back. The Argentine player able to hit home on this one, even though they were both quite a bit off. I mean, had he gone further south, there could have been much more points taken off of Spaghet's health bar, but this time, not the case.
Nope, not at all. And we are, seems to be Kazakhstan with this Google car. And Cyrillic on the billboard. I want to say a very learnable country, Kazakhstan.
It's limited in coverage, right? I mean, I know it got more. Did it get more recently?
No.
More coverage?
Really.
I don't know.
It
so
got
it's only...
released, and ever since then it stayed the same. And Kazakhstan is also like a country, as you said. You have a couple main roads going through the country, and then just a bunch of cities. So now I want to say this is a country where you can learn every city, because there's good
only a few
city-specific clues as well. You have street signs that are exclusive to some cities. You have pole paintings that are exclusive to some cities. Some car meta, some seasonal meta, of course, again.
Fair.
So, a lot to learn.
They're both to the east. They pick each their city, but they're both in the wrong one, unfortunately. It's going to be, once again, damage done to Spaghet. So, as big of a lead that he was able to gain off of the first 2 rounds, in back-to-back rounds, Flyy strikes back, and now they're even once more.
Yeah, kind of reminds me to just the previous round, where you only have to get slightly closer, not on it, but if you do it often enough.
And it's a big country.
Down on health. And we are in the United Kingdom here. However, I mean, it's a country where I would definitely move as quick as possible out of the residential area.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of signage as soon as you leave a town or leave this residential area. You usually have signs towards a highway.
Also, and this is going to sound rude maybe to British people, but I feel like a lot of their city names are like the pubs and all the signs you would see in the city center. All the names of all the places are so generic. Blackwood Inn, Great Lion Bar. You know, like it's all the same names, and you can't really get a whole lot of region info off of that.
Yeah, that also makes it kind of hard to learn city names in the UK, I feel like. Because it all sounds so generic. Yeah.
Ooh, we say it's generic, but someone knows their Beatles meta. Up to Liverpool he goes, and Flyy, 3rd round in a row, strikes home.
Yeah, not a good thing to use. In the UK are trash bins. They usually say the council on on it. I don't know if Flyy saw something like that. I didn't see it on his screen, but I would assume so.
What do we have on the poll here that Spaghet is looking at?
In Brazil, some polls, I mean a lot of polls, we are talking about polls again, contain good info in Brazil as well. In this case, I don't think it had the right writings you want to see, but we have a guess down from Spaghet, so I don't know if there was some information he used based on that. But they are the same exact region.
Yeah, on top of one another. City just a bit off towards the north. We are headed into round... I mean, this is round 6, I should say, headed into round 7. So, of course, the multiplier is going to keep on ramping up. As once again, we are close. But Flyy able to maintain that 1,200-point lead thus far.
Yeah, it wasn't that easy for Flyy on that round, because I saw his pin switching all over the place down there in the south. And you are correct. We are back in India. We have this... what's called a boxed car. It looks like a box. And this car you see more in the western half of the country and more around big cities. Because this type of coverage came out early. India is a country where you only had a bunch of cities covered to start off with. But nowadays you have coverage all over the place. However, the coverage that came later on didn't have this boxed car too often. So you can use that to, sort of make a region guess. Well, so you click either in the west or around the big city.
Between them. 4 times multiplier. This should be game if they stay with the distances that they have right now, unless if the location is right in between, and it's not. It's further north. Flyy comes out victorious, and that is going to be game number 1 going his way. Spaghet got off to such a good start in the first 2 rounds. Over 3,000 damage done to Flyy within the first 2 rounds, and still Flyy was able to strike back. Great game there for the Argentinian player.
Yeah, and I must say, this game didn't really feel like a moving game, because most of the time it came down to just get a better region guess down rather than use the information right.
True.
So definitely a different vibe to this game.
Yeah, definitely. These games can throw you in all different types of locations. These ones were some tricky ones for sure. will now go over to the actual no-move game as Flyy is up 1-0. Let's see where this one is going to take us off to.
Exactly, no move this time. And we start off in...
How do you country guess this?
Well, again, you have the Google car, which is pretty helpful. You see the front blur.
The blur blue.
Front blur. That's something you see more in the Americas.
Fair enough. Well, I mean,
So,
Spaghet was instantly there with the guess. For a player that likes to take a ton of time to guess, when he insta-guesses, you know he knows something is up. And, I mean, we can repeat the last game. Massive damage done to Flyy early on once more.
Correct. And speaking of car matters, we see that instant zoom on the antenna here.
Is there anything to go? It
very
looks like a
good
very generic
source.
antenna. Is there any specific info on this antenna?
Yes, you can count the amount of wires on them. You can.
insane.
There's, yeah.
Well,
Russia is a
I mean,
lot
of course
of
you can. That's wild.
antenna matter.
Antenna
But then
matter.
again, the clusters are a bit spread most of the times across the country, so you kind of have to commit. However, it is very mountainous here, so I would say this looks more towards either the south, where Spaghet is right now, or you have the Ural Mountains. That can also
We
sort
actually
of look
looking
like
to line
this.
up road savior Spaghet. I mean, he has the time to. 10 seconds still on the clock. Flyy. Not in the exact same area.
Are we actually in Russia though? Because we have Flyy in Ukraine.
Yep, they are very far apart. Once again, it's going to be
And
big
it
damage early on, and
indeed is.
Flyy is correct. Wow.
That's a good chunk of points for round 2.
Massive. And again, it's Flyy. I mean, there's no chance for Spaghet to get any momentum gone his way, because right after a big hit on him, he strikes back twice as hard.
It looks like we are back in the Americas here. Have a McDonald's. We have some diamond-shaped signs.
America guaranteed. It's the McDonald's that gives it away.
True.
Not the highway signs, not the double yellow lines, just the McDonald's.
Nope. Exactly. And I want to say this. A couple things make me think a bit more south of the country, and a couple of stuff more north. So maybe we are somewhere in the middle.
Ooh, okay.
So
Idaho.
that's
zoom in
also
for
where
Spaghet?
they are with their with the map open. So I could see Idaho. Does make sense to me. I don't think we are further north of that though. So
Well, let's see. They're both out towards the west, up towards the north. Who's gonna get it? They're both in the same state. So are they going to be correct in their punches? No, actually, no, they're not. It's in Wyoming, so they're both gonna be off. But off by an even margin. Still, though, 800 damage done to Spaghet, who's down to just 1,000 health now. Flyy, I mean, we saw it before, is all the way down the bottom of the leaderboard. If he can get 3 points off of this game, that would be big.
indeed. And they were both just one state over there. Pretty good guesses in general. And we move on to this round. Kind of an interesting one, because I have mixed feelings.
Tell me, enlighten me. I'm going to France.
Why
No, I'm
do we
kidding.
have palm trees? Yeah, but my first thought was New Zealand. We have a possum guard on the pole,
Yeah.
and palm trees, and I don't know if these are poplar trees, but they kind of look like it. So those are all things you see in New Zealand, but
I feel like that
I
palm
wouldn't
is so
know
misplaced
where to-
in this
Yes,
foliage.
it looks out of place there.
I mean, honestly, had the pole not been here, I could have gone to France in a weird way,
Even
but
Argentina, but I don't think this
This is
ever Argentina.
New Zealand to Argentina, this is going to be game, no matter how we spin it.
Oh,
Let's see what it's going to be. It is going to be New Zealand as Spaghet. Oh, you can see it on the head of Flyy. That was a big giveaway on that one. I don't know what sent him down there. Neighboring countries where he went to. But wow. He was looking flawless through that no-move round, and Spaghet, you can see it on his face too. A sigh of relief as he takes it into an NPC.
Yeah, very important one there. I don't know what Flymy's thought process was there.
I mean, I feel like someone just went into foliage mode in New Zealand and pressed randomize. Because we had, like, northern bushes, we had pines, we had palms, we had everything.
Yeah, definitely. Also, yeah, I mean, I can see it. He switched to Chile, though, which I think makes a bit more sense, but it was a bit too flat, I feel like.
NMPC, both looking towards... Flyy, don't go Denmark in this. Thank you. Norway. There's no... we don't have... If you see a cliff, it is not Denmark. Like, unless if you're in Bornholm, but then that's also just bad RNG, which is the island southeast of Sweden. Like, cliffs don't exist in Denmark.
Nope. Not like this, and especially also that license plate. It's a commercial license plate. Color you only see in Norway, really. So,
well, Narvik... Spaghet looking to go potentially further north. Should he have? Nope. Good thing that he stayed in and around Trondheim. It's still going to be a losing round, but much less than what it could have been.
Yeah, both pretty good guesses, I must say. Because it wasn't the easiest location to start off. In Norway, so I guess they are both happy to have that in round 1.
Oh, you just exactly... I feel like there's an address on the blue sign there if you can look further left. But, of course, an NPC doesn't allow you to do that. It's just this image. You can see Spaghet he's trying to line up something that, like, mentally is trying to do the math on something right now. Do you get the edge of the city name? No.
Tikas. Yeah, it ended with Tikas, but I don't know any city ending with Tikas.
Yeah.
So I guess it was just something else.
Flyy went for the safe, just go capital, send it when in doubt, you know? But at least they had the country right, both of them. So, again, minimal damage done.
Yep, that's the most important part, especially in NPC games. Getting the country right is always a good thing.
Unless if it's Russia, then you need the region too.
Definitely. They're like,
what are we looking at here?
Maybe 4 or 5 countries that are big enough where that matters. But we have those wooden fences here, which you see in the Americas, especially in like Mexico, Panama, Colombia, Brazil also a bit.
Zoom in. I would not go Venezuela.
Nope, that's also something I wouldn't do. The building looks a bit more Mexican, I want to say.
Okay. What tells you? Is it just a vibe, like a hunch? Or what tells you more Mexican?
The way it's built, the way it has... It's really just maybe the brick type makes me think more Mexico than Colombia. But I'm not sure at all.
Colombian masons don't do bricks this way. Let's see if it's going to be the case or not. They're both down there, but you were the one on point. It was up towards Mexico.
I mean, I can totally understand their guesses as well.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't sure at all. It was
a 50-50
that I picked correct, but I can also see myself going Colombia there.
A hunch, but a big hunch. As we now go... okay, I could be completely wrong, but I feel like this looks Japanese.
You are right.
Oh!
This is Japanese. We again have those...
guessing Japan. There we go. Spaghet, home country. Does he get the advantage?
On a location like this, I don't think there's any... No disrespect, but I don't think there's any Japanese player who is consistent enough to...
Wait, so you're telling me that when you get your home country, you cannot be assumed to make 5Ks all the time? Because I feel like everyone tells me that whenever it's Denmark, I have to 5K.
Yeah, I mean, especially Denmark and also Japan are just countries where it's... I don't want to say impossible, but at least you have some seasonal meta here again. It is winter, Gen 3. That rules down a lot of the regions, but...
There you go. Both of them in and around the right area. But still some damage done towards Spaghet, losing in his home country. Feels bad, man, but I guess you're saying too, very limited what info he had to go by.
It feels bad, but as soon as you've played a couple of rounds of GeoGuessr, then you know how hard it is to region guess Japan in NMPZ, especially NMPZ.
America straight road. A quick lock-in from Flyy. He wants to put some pressure on Kansas, Missouri border here.
Like the Kansas guess. I was in Kansas immediately on this location.
What sent you there?
The type of pole, again the vegetation, and the slightly rolling hills, and it is Kansas.
It was Kansas. A bit further towards the west. Flyy, west side of Kansas City, gets him the victory in that round as slowly Spaghet starts getting chunked away here. 2,300 health is what he has left to work with as we go into round number 6.
We do move over to another round where I wish I could see the pole. Because that way I could maybe roll out something instead of just making a guess based on what I have here. Sandy Road. I just had a
you got
lean
a pole in the
right.
distance.
Yeah, there is one,
and
I'm sure they can see it, but I am not sure. I could see stuff like I could see this being Argentina. I could see this being Australia. I can't really tell the sun here.
I mean, Flyy got Spaghet in Japan. Imagine if Spaghet gets Flyy in Argentina and wins the game because of it. It is 3.5 times multipliers. Is Spaghet hedging South America? What are we looking at here?
I'm happy I also see them going all over the place.
They're all over the place. But it is up there. Oh, wow. Big round for Flyy, and that's going to be GG. Out victorious 2-1 off of a massive, I don't want to call it a blunder, but a really tough loss in the second game in moving. It went into an NPC, but Flyy in the end stays true, comes out victorious.
Yeah, Zoe, I've mentioned it before, NPC is most of the times only about getting the right country, really. Getting the right country is already enough to win those games most of the time. And I've also mentioned how much luck is involved in an NPC. So yeah, you have to be like on both sides to win, and Flyy did win this one.
Well, out victorious, he comes over Spaghet, but we are ready to move straight into our next matchup. No rest for the wicked here, as we get to see Captain once again. This time he's taking on Harrier. Harrier we got to see play last week. And, well, we had an interview with him as well. Always great to hear from him. This time around, though, in game number 1, he's starting off a bit behind. We are already in round 6, though, as these players are flying down the street.
They do indeed, and looks like we are in France again. We have those French-specific road lines, those very short 2 dashes that we see in the middle of the road. You only see it in France, in no other country. And that's about getting the country right. Now,
a lot of info for Captain.
We have, again, those infos that look nice to have, but realistically, most
how
of
much
the
small
time,
town knowledge does he have?
Yeah. You always hope to randomly find one of those towns or the right D road, but it just never works out.
They're both in the southwest region, down towards Bordeaux. But let's see who's going to get it. Harrier, as we can see here, down 2,000 points thus far. And it's going to continue to be down, but this should be minimal damage. Yeah, just 300.
Yeah, it looked a bit... I want to say it looked warm. It looked a bit more western, vegetation-wise. Those forest roads are more common in that area. We are in the Americas. I want to say it looks like Canada.
Blue street signs. It seems like there's a small logo on there as well. Maybe some info useful. You can get an internet domain there as well. I feel like there's a lot of info available. It's just about catching it.
Definitely. I mean,
French text as well. That does help.
French, but
yeah,
there's also some English, so I'm confused. But especially with no front plates, we ship in Quebec. Also, those street lamps, very common in Quebec. And again, it's about combining things to get the right region of the country. But now you need a little bit of more information because Quebec is pretty big.
Are we in the city or are we out in the suburbs? We're about to find out. Captain has jumped into the water, it seems. And it's going to be up towards the northwest. They were both up there at one point, but ended up shifting off it.
I feel like Harrier was there until the very last second.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even see him switching. That's how much of a last second switch that was.
Is there any cam info off of this? That there's a water drop? Like a blur mesa?
Say this looks like Yucatan in first glance. We had some rock walls and these fences again. Those trees also really look like Yucatan, and we have a Yucatan plonked down from Captain. He is sending middle of Yucatan.
It's around 8.
Very recognizable state of Mexico, especially with those exposed rocks along the road. Yeah, both players should recognize it, or at least go with that guess, because that's most likely to be there.
Wow, that was surprisingly close for a plonk, and actually out victorious with it as well. Went just east side Merida, or southeast I should say, both of them. But her captain closer sends Harrier down to 2400 health. Now 2000 points behind as we go into round number 9. Harrier needs something going his way here.
Definitely, and we saw this country a couple of times today already. We are in South Africa again. And is that an area code? I don't think so, no. So they skip it. I think Harrier has learned a lot of area codes for different countries, so that's really what he is aiming for right now. So maybe it is an area code actually, because we've seen it multiple times now, the 08. And again, 082.
082. This is just Johannesburg.
I don't know if
he's going north side.
Yes, the
Pretoria.
012 is in that area, that I know. And we have the 012 again here on Captain screen as well.
Well,
They
they're
both
both
end
sending it into Johannesburg without zooming in further. So they have the reach and they have the city. But it was a bit further north. Harrier, we saw, went out of Johannesburg proper up towards Pretoria. And that's going to reward him. 900 damage done towards Captain. Evens things out a little bit more, but Harrier is still playing from behind.
900 points is actually a lot, considering the fact that Harrier guessed in Pretoria and Captain was in Johannesburg. Yeah. It's just one city over.
That's the multipliers, and that's big for him, because now, I mean, here in round 10, again, for those of you guys who don't know, it's, well, even if no one goes down to 0 here, it's whoever has the most points left by the end of this round who comes out victorious. Issue is they both have the same info, and I think they might be lining up. I mean, Captain is a neighboring country, sure, but are you lining up anything remotely close to a 5k here?
I mean, we have those 3-digit road numbers, which are sorted very well in
He's looking for it.
Norway. Or at least you have to know how the order of them is. And those
10 seconds left.
Are found around here.
Captain is taking his time looking for the 10k, because he knows that if he's close enough... Oh, does he have it here?
He is on a bridge which does not line up, because
Yeah,
we're on a north-south road, and that bridge is
elsewhere.
going northwest, but still close enough.
Close enough, and it is round 10, so even if it doesn't go down to 0, it's still gonna be game over, because that is the last round of this tournament format, and therefore Captain will come out 1-0.
Indeed. We didn't see the first half of the game, but the second half already was pretty nice to watch here.
Definitely.
This felt like a moving game. Because I feel like most of the time they try to get the right information. They try to pinpoint even closer than just getting the region guess down. So that's always nice to see.
Well, we go into no move, and once again, I feel like a lot of these no move games have taken us way out into the woods, and this is no different.
It does, but with this vegetation you really only consider, I want to say, a slight chance of Malaysia, but I think it is Indonesia. Especially with this pavement. Because something similar vegetation-wise could be the Philippines. But in the Philippines you often have these concrete block roads and not this pavement. That's how you can pretty much almost always rule out or rule in a country. And therefore we should be in Indonesia. We have a lot of palm trees, which you see in Sulawesi a lot. And it was Sulawesi all the way in the north. And that's great region guess within Sulawesi for Captain.
Round 1, 3,500 damage done towards Harrier. That is not the way you want to start off this one, especially considering that you're already down 1-0. This could be done very quickly if Captain get one more down like this.
Yes, definitely. That was an amazing guess. And now we are in the Philippines, though. Country, I don't know if you see it anywhere else. Especially this orange tint road line next to the white dash lines. Something you see a lot in the Philippines. But besides that, I think most of the times the Philippines is easy to get the country right. You have those trikes, you have those pavements, you have car meta. There's a bunch of things to use. We have octagonal poles in Philippines, all that stuff, but region guessing is quite rough. But they aren't too far away from each other.
No, both of them in and around the same area, both of them off approximately by the same margin. As we now head into the next round with Captain still untouched, sat here at 6,000 going into round 3.
Yes,
that's a very straight road.
3. It is. We are in some desert road in Chile. There's a couple of them, let's say it like that. So there's some ways to learn the roads. Again, you can use... Some players like to learn cloud formations. They look at roads, and because there aren't too many roads, right?
And then
especially
when
in a
they get
country
the
like
coverage
Chile.
updated, they get super tilted.
That's happening, yeah. That happens.
I spend a year learning clouds, and then they take new photos.
Yes, definitely.
Also, there are no clouds there right now, so...
I see it in a way where new coverage also brings new meta. So most of the time, there's still stuff that comes with it.
They're both in and around the same area here. Seems like they both have the hunch of approximately where we are. Let's see who's going to be closer, though. Once again, I mean, almost equally far away. I feel like both of them were up there at one point, but they were jumping around like kangaroos here in the end of the round. Not sure exactly where to put their pins down. But I think most importantly for Captain, stays flawless.
Yes, definitely. It was weird that it was that far north because the road angle didn't look north-south. That's what I guessed a bit further south, I feel like. But yeah, this looks like Tasmania or one of the islands around Tasmania. We have Flinders Island and King Island.
What tells you Tasmania in this? Because I see the bullets and I just think mainland Australia.
I want to say it's just a vibe.
Okay.
And those spiky bushes.
Spiky bushes. If you see spiky bushes and it's in Australia, just go to Tasmania.
You see it sometimes along the coast, even in New South Wales. But I would always send Tasmania here.
Oh, well.
It was Flinders Island. They both went King Island.
Close enough to get away from that one. But hey, you know what? It might be small, but Harrier has finally been able to strike Captain in make that 30 damage done.
Yeah, getting the right island there can always be clutch, because it is a small island, but it's so far away from like every other possible location. Like, even if you are in Tasmania, that island is a good distance away.
A couple thousand points damage done, even if you don't get it on point.
To pick up points, but yeah. I don't know yet how to tell them apart, King Island and Flinders Island. Pretty recent coverage, but on to this round. I've talked about it earlier. We have the front cobbler, so we are put into the Americas. You would consider either the US or Mexico here, but I feel like, especially with this pavement and the vegetation, I really like the California guess.
They're both out here. One is towards Sacramento.
We are somewhere a bit more north, but I don't know how far north we are talking.
Both in and around the same area. Once again, both equally far off. It's south side of Los Angeles, down towards San Diego.
That's interesting. That's, I mean...
What got them up there that made it so far south?
Because it was so green. It gets a bit more deserty the further south you go, usually. So...
But no time to rest. We're going straight into the next round. Round number 6. Out in the open again, this time around a little more boreal. Boreal. I can't talk today.
Oh, good. I think this looks like the same location we had on the Flyy and Spaghet game.
Yeah.
Would you agree? It was a dirt road when they had it.
I see what you're saying.
It turned out to be, I think it was it a Wyoming round? I'm not sure. But it kind of looks the same. So I want to say it could be around that region again. Maybe I would click between Idaho and Wyoming here to cover a bit more.
Harrier set at 1400 health. Would want to get a couple of rounds going his way to even things out a bit more. Seems like Captain is hedging 4 states, but just going straight in the middle of all of them. Or does he know something we do not know? It's way further north. It's all the way up in Canada.
Ooh.
And that is a massive hit.
Wow.
Captain almost out off of that one round.
He turns it around. He gets the lead here.
Wow.
It could have been game.
I mean, a bit further towards the north, and that's GG.
So, I don't know how happy he is about that, or how tilted he is for not committing even further north. But I think he should be happy. He is in the lead now. We are on round 7. And again, somewhere in the Americas. I want to say this looks like southern US. I could see this all the way being out there in Texas. I could see this being in Georgia along these lines.
I've said it before, but I'll say it again. When you're in doubt, I love it, because that means maybe these guys are going to be as well. This house doesn't give you the intel you want. No football flags, no anything else to directly indicate the state you're in. But is there a season thing in this, or is everything recorded in fall?
There is, but there's just way too much coverage in the United States. You probably have every season in every state.
Fair enough.
Is that Texas?
It is.
Or are we outside? I think we're slightly outside.
Border. I think it's still in Mississippi, not Mississippi, but just west of there exactly.
Either Arkansas or it was Louisiana. But we were in that triangle, but very hard to commit there.
Round 8, one off guess by either of the two here, and that's going to be game. For Captain, he has a win already, so if he can afford losing this one going into an MP set, but of course he would want to bring it home here.
Yes, and I do really like Harrier's guess. This should be in Sabah, the northern province of Borneo, Malaysia. But region guessing within Sabah is also something I see people struggle a lot with. A lot of just mountain pass roads.
With these multipliers and the amount of health that these guys have left, be off by a couple of kilometers and that could be game over.
Ooh, Captain is going mainland here.
This is gonna be game. Unless if they're in the exact same distance from the location, which is practically impossible at this point. It should be game. It will be game. And Harrier, able to bring it home, was able to get a really, really good guess in earlier that sent Captain down 5,000 health. And there he locks it up. So 1 point now guaranteed for both. But who is going to come away with the win here as we head into NMPC?
We do go over to NMPZ again. Love to see it. I don't even know who has the advantage here, or who's more of an NPC player between those two players, because I feel like I don't see Harrier playing NPC too often.
There's something very satisfying with that dust track. It's very symmetrical.
Agree.
You know what I mean?
I really love those dust trails. Dust trail locations are indeed a vibe.
Very beautiful. You just put on some lo-fi and sit and stare at that image for an hour. As we now get the guesses on in. West Side Australia is the first one down. Seems like they're both going to go in and around that area.
Harrier was very confident with it, but Captain kind of considered Queensland there first.
Good thing he didn't.
He did have some more time to think and made the right decision to switch over to Western Australia.
Well, little damage done here. Could have been bigger, ended up not being, as we now go to, UK? I can't tell. You tell me.
Would?
No, we're...
No. We have this red outline, which you see in Taiwan and South Africa. And
okay, so definitely not the UK, thank you. Yes. It's rare that I dare to guess. I thought, you know what, I felt good today. I thought maybe this was a time where I go for one, and then it was Cape Town.
Yes. You see
colonialism. You're throwing me off.
In double yellow in the UK. If it's solid red, that's something, as I said, you see it in Taiwan and South Africa. I don't know if there's any other country where you get red outlines on the roads.
A tricky one here, potentially, as well.
Looks like the... is it Baltics? I don't know. Are those birch trees in the distance?
It's hard to tell. You can see the players' eyes are fixed on the screen there as well.
Bulgaria here all the way to the Baltics. Not much to work with. Besides that, we have some signs. You can use them. For instance, if there is no outline on the sign, that's something you see more in the Baltics.
Full focus mode. Here
Estonia
on the face of
and
both of them.
Lithuania are two countries where you have no outline, so if that's the case, you could see it being one of them. And it was indeed Lithuania.
A bit off on the side, both waving as they stood side by side. 8 damage done to Harrier, minimal at that. But hey, we've seen people win with less, so don't count out the small damage done. As we now go into round number 4 and once again taken out into the woods.
We are in the woods indeed. Again, it looks a bit more northern with those pine forests combined with some birches. I think those are birches. Are those birches? I'm not 100% certain. They look like them. Looks like we have some winter coverage, which you also see in a lot of states up there, or provinces, if it's Canada.
I mean, Harrier's looking down. I mean, at least right now, the camera is hovering over Michigan, Wisconsin. Ask if he stays all the way down there, that could be huge. Even only with the 2.5 times multipliers. Yeah, now he goes up towards the north. Alberta is where he's at least setting the marker initially. Yes,
I think Canada is a bit more likely than the US, but I would not be surprised if it turns out to be somewhere in the north of the US.
Let's see where it's going to be. They're one state apart. Who's going to get it? It's going to be Harrier closer. Could be big damage. Will be big damage. Half health taken away from Captain.
Yes, very well-deserved points as well, because if you commit that far west... Because after Alberta, there's really nothing you would guess, because no one's guessing British Columbia on that. So I would say Alberta was the most western part where you could have made a reasonable guess.
Ooh.
So he gets reward for that.
Way out on this tiny island of St. Pierre. What's the tell here?
St. Pierre only has tracker coverage. I don't know if this is tracker. No. It was Newfoundland.
Bit further up towards the north, but once again, hit onto Captain as Harrier's starting to strike back in this one. I mean, Captain looked really, really good in round 1, but Harrier able to bring home round 2, and now with a good lead here in round 3 as well. But of course, keep in mind, in a PC, I mean, anything can happen. You're never really in the lead until you've won the game.
Nope, you aren't. I mean, this is some sort of coverage that is more recognizable than other forest locations. However, Captain is right on it.
Just like that, they're tied. What a great guess, Captain. Yes. Good hunch on that one.
Yep. And we are in Peru with this poll. It looks deserty flat. So what do you consider? You consider either all the way north or all the way south?
Is Harry just feeling it right now? He's throwing in these guesses insanely fast.
Have some poll markings. There's a good clue for the southern part there in Peru. If that is the southern pole marking, I can tell on my tiny screen. But it is.
Throw off Captain, but it's not working. At least not this time around. Minimal damage done, but I like the idea of Harrier now. I mean, since we're at such an important time in this game, trying to, change up the tempo a bit, maybe catch Captain off guard as we once again go into the open.
And we are back again. However, I want to say it looks southern again, but we saw it being right outside Lima the other time. But this case, I want to really say we are in the south. This time I would be very surprised if it isn't the southern half of Peru. However, this time it is a bit more mountainous, and with a bit more, I want to say way more mountainous, because the other one was very flat. So...
Puno and Juliaga, we'll see. Yeah. Both of them are in and around there. Captain is a bit further towards the east, though. Neither of whom have locked in their guesses just that they're sat practically tied at this point. This round could be very deciding in who comes out victorious.
Yeah, and basically what they are thinking about right now, I want to think, is lining up the road and the mountain range. It's probably something they look for, and...
minimal distance between it, but again, I mean, these minimal distances with the multipliers that we're getting could and most likely will be the deciding factor Harrier now sat 1,200 points behind coming into round 9. What do we have to work with here?
Yeah, Harrier needs to pick up 1,200 points from Captain to make it equal. That's not a hard task.
Is
not
this
a,
a
hard
when
task
in doubt
on
go Lagos?
5 times damage and MPZ.
They're both in and around the same area.
Yeah, this camera quality is way more common in the western side of Nigeria, southwest. So
Let's see.
let's say they both will end up somewhat in the northwest.
I would have
southwest.
won that round, just saying. I said when in doubt go Lagos. Should have done it. Didn't matter. In the end.
Yeah.
In the end,
pretty
Captain
much
wins it. And now, I mean, this is it's do or die time. 10 out of 10. You need to take away at least 1,700 points from Captain if you want to win this one, Harrier.
Yes, and we are in India. I want to say this pole looks like a Karnataka pole. So are we in the state of Karnataka here? If they know it, and if it is, I'm not 100% sure, but I think this pole is very, very common in Karnataka. If they know it, or if one of the players know it, we have Captain right on it, on his map right now.
We've been to India a couple of times today already. Big points have been gotten there, and this time around with 5.5 times multiplier, you don't really have to be that far apart for it to make the biggest of differences. I mean, just a couple of kilometers off would be game.
Yeah, it is a very big... Ooh, we have Harrier switching.
Dangerous.
All the way northeast.
He's all the way up towards Bhutan.
I'm not sure about that.
This is
maybe
dangerous. He's jumping around.
Something.
Changing things up, trying to get the win on it. It's not gonna matter. It's not gonna be. Captain is gonna be victorious. And that's gonna be a 2-1 victory for the Swede over Harrier. But with that said, very, very close game all the way down to the finish line.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were on the final round. And I think the thought process as a player here is, do I try something different now? Because if you see that poll, you just assume those pro players know it's Karnataka. So if they both end up there, Harrier's not winning the game. Therefore, he is trying something different. Those pumps make sense for the Assam region, where he guessed, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that was the thought process behind that one.
A dangerous one.
Yeah.
A valiant attempt. As we finish that game, you can see here Trisha able to 2-1 reach as well. So he gets himself a win after the 2-1 loss to Lendley earlier today. Next up, we are going to be seeing him again. We'll see if his win against Risk can give him some momentum going, because he will need it. Because he is taking on our reigning world champion in Blinky. Going to be arguably the toughest competition you can go up against. But hey, we've seen it. Blinky is not immortal anymore. He has lost one game. But maybe, who knows? Maybe Trisha is going to have the game of his life to take on Blinky. What do you think? Is there any world in which Trisha can come out victorious here?
I want to say he's swarmed up now. He already had 2 games today. He's playing his 3rd game back-to-back. And I want to say Trisha, I always admire him for how he just out of nowhere 5Ks the most random roads. Okay. That's something Trisha is known for. So if the rounds are in his favor, I feel like he can pull something off here.
How does anything become in your favor when you're up against Blinky though? Like where would these locations need to be in order for him to come out and win? Maybe on his maybe he can see the school he went to in the background. Is that what it takes for him to outperform a guy like Blinky?
That's something that could happen, but I feel like that's also something I can speak for myself as well. I like to learn very random roads, super random ones. And as soon as they come up, I feel like I have an advantage over other players because it's just very random and no one learns them. But yeah, that's something he can hope for. I don't know if that's Trisha's strategy. I know he's very strong in Europe. That's his expertise. I don't know, Blinky can sometimes struggle, especially on NMPZ Europe. If it's coming down to that, I feel like I
was going to say, but that means we'll have to get there first. Because, I mean, one thing's for
not
sure.
The easiest task. That's not the easiest task.
One thing's for sure. We can put it this way. It's going to be tough for Trisha. No way around that. But hey, if there's a way to finish off your weekend with a smile on your face, that is getting a win, even if it's just a point. against a guy like Blinky, because not a lot of players have been able to do just that. Here we see them line up the Belgium against the Frenchman. This one is gonna be tough. You can see Trisha taking his time on his guesses. Blinky, I feel like it's only when he lines up 5Ks he takes his time, but even then, 35-second average for him.
Yeah, and we have
87
87
in 30
That is
games.
Insane. If we talk about consistency, then we talk
Wow.
about Blinky. That is just insane. I mean,
Absurd.
I've played against Blinky in the first World Cup in the quarterfinals. I remember I was closer on what, like 3 rounds?
That's the issue, right? Because even when Blinky isn't on point, he's still close.
Yes.
Like, just
yes.
because
So
he doesn't 5K, he's always gonna be in the nearby vicinity. You don't... Like, okay, so over the span of, let's say, 100 games for Blinky, how many rounds do you get where he's like 1,000 kilometers off? Or countries off? It almost never happens. If you get just one of those in your Trisha here, you have to capitalize on it.
Yes. I mean, I feel like the no-move game really... the no-move map in this tournament challenges even the high-experience pro players sometimes. So we have seen it before. We have seen some wrong continent guesses from time to time.
True. It does happen.
Those are the rounds where you, as the underdog... I mean, I don't want to call Trisha an underdog, really. He's a very good player. But in this case, against Blinky, I want to say... those are the rounds where he has to strike.
Yep, almost everyone's an underdog when you're up against the world champion. Let's see now, as we get into game number 1 of 3, potentially of 3, who will come out swinging right out of the gates. Trisha coming into this game off of a win in this match just moments ago. We'll see if he can get something going here as we start things off.
We do start off, and we are back in India again. Definitely a country that is worth learning. It is big, it comes up a lot, it has a lot of learning potential. Because there's just so much you can work with. And I know someone who has studied India a lot, and that's Blinky.
Well, Trisha, let's see what you get off of this one. Over towards... Okay, distance in between him. And of course, Blinky, not only is he correct, but he's within a kilometer to kick things off round number 1. And all you can do if you're Trisha there is smile.
Yeah. I mean, hear me out. Blinky had an address, but that's easy to say because you also have to know where this address is located. You have to translate it from that script. You have to know where it is. And that's just not that easy. I think we had some English language. And with that English language, that region northeast of Bangladesh does make a lot of sense because you see a lot of English there, or in New Delhi, but of course in other regions as well. Just to get an explanation for why Trisha guessed there, and not much to say here. We are on a highway with signs. And we move over to round 3 now. And we are in a forest location, however it's a moving game. They have the ability to move around. Trisha does not want to. I've already mentioned that Trisha is pretty good at Europe, so he probably already knows that it is Czechia. We are somewhere in the mountains, which you see commonly in the north, south, west and east of Czechia. But Blinky is playing it safe, clicking the middle. It was a bit more west. That's... couple points for Trisha. Maybe gives him a little bit of confidence there. Not much, but we are going over to round 4 now. And it looks like we are in the Americas. Or in Brazil. Sorry. We have Portuguese language. And an area code. We have 32. Just see... 30s. 32 is around Minas? I think. Let's see where those players are. We have Blinky very far south in Minas. And Trisha in... No, they both turned out to be in the same region. Both use the same information. we are
Thank
going
you,
over to the
Trisha,
next
for
round.
covering.
You are back.
Yeah, my internet felt like it had to, yawn for a second. And it took a bit too long. What did I miss? Fill me in.
Not much, honestly. After the India guess, that one you saw, and after that it was like always somewhat of equal guesses. However, here we are in Japan, and now we have some different guesses, and Blinky is right on it again.
I feel like I came back right where I left off.
Yeah,
with Blinky almost
you
5K.
didn't miss anything. You really didn't miss anything.
Impressive.
It was just some stalling rounds.
Yep. As we got right back into it. Blinky now on the move, going down the road here to get some more info. If there's anything more to give, bullets tell you the country, but where are we?
Yes, it is kind of difficult here, but I want to say, just by the looks, I thought we are in Victoria. However, we have a Western Australia guess from Trisha. Far down in the south, you have some green landscape like this. So if it is Western Australia, I feel like it should be south.
Okay.
And it is very far south.
So Trisha, I mean, I say only 700 damage done. That's a lot when it's up against a guy like Blinky. But Trisha is able to kind of turn on the thrusters here a little bit. A quicker guess than what we've seen in the past. And maybe caught Blinky a bit off there. But a lot of info now, early on here in this round.
Yes, we have
Fast
some
again.
cities. Schillingen, yeah. Trisha is right on it. Blinky is kind of scanning it. He has a better sign. To be fair, the sign Blinky used is more helpful.
Blinky
And he
closer
gets a
once
little bit
again.
closer.
Minimal damage done. I mean, Trisha is doing everything he can to stay in this race. 8 rounds in, and he's still alive, but now under 1,000 points left to work with. Let's see where this one takes us as we go to the shoreline, but where and what shoreline are we working with here, Chilochus?
Yeah, we are in coastal Brazil. How can I tell we are coastal?
Well, I mean, that should be easy, but how can you tell it's Brazil
a very
coastal?
big body of water there to the north. It's also very sandy, so even if we didn't have the water there, that's always a good clue to be coastal, the sandiness in Brazil. Now, the north coast is pretty long. I want to say... I wouldn't say Trisha can turn it around here, but he can pick up a good amount of points if he is...
He needs to.
Very closer, but they are in the same region.
Practically on top of one another with these guesses as well. Should have gone a bit further towards the south. Could have gotten something off of it. It is going to be a game gone his way, but it's minimal as we now go into round number 9. Now we need one of those rounds you're talking about, Jilo. Just one of those rounds where somehow you get a round where you know exactly where we are, and something tells me this won't be the case.
Nope, definitely not, especially in India. I've already said it. Blinky is very good at it. He spent a lot of time learning it, especially for moving. I remember him playing hours of moving India. I feel like that did come to him handy, not only today, but in a lot of games. So let's see. We have a quick guess down from Trisha. I don't know if it's a wipe guess or if he actually used something.
You have to go out and do something crazy if
yeah,
you want to win this one. He's shaking his hands, going, yeah, you know
not
what?
Sure
Screw it. I tried. We'll see what happens. Maybe I win it, maybe I don't. And in this case, he does not. Blinky out victorious as he wins this one here. Moving game gone, Blinky. So I don't think anyone expected anything else. But can Trisha now bring it home in the no move is what's really going to matter.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of players go into the match against Blinky with a mindset where they are like, okay, I'm just going to play the moving game, whatever, and then I'm going to lock in.
I mean, honestly, he took it to 9 rounds against Blinky. Yes. I think that's a very formidable performance by Trisha. And also, we're seeing a no beanie Blinky. It's not often we get no beanie Blinky. Maybe this is the thing. Maybe Blinky's beanie is in the dryer, and therefore his magic is gone, and now Trisha can crawl back.
Maybe that could be the case. It could throw him off. But I know he's happy to see a lot of India today.
Well, yeah, and Trisha is probably not.
Trisha is probably not. However, yeah, I really like the guesses. I was thinking about Goa State, and we have a Goa guess there. It's just right outside Goa.
Both going west coast, down towards the trance music countryside. I mean, we can say it now. Good job, Trisha, you're ahead. But for how long is that gonna stay the case?
Definitely. I mean, it is no move this time. Therefore, I want to say that makes things a bit more interesting. However, here we have big mountains to the east and to the west. We are in a valley. We are in Switzerland. And
it's one of those tilting rounds where you go, oh, if I could just go up on the road. It's just up there, you know, stretch my neck, just look around the corner. But nope, not quite the case. But as you're saying, a lot of info to go by with mountains and everything.
Yeah, usually with mountains in north and south, you want to consider the region around Sion in the south, west of Switzerland. However, we have mountains east and west. That makes it a bit more interesting. That's a couple more regions you kind of can guess here, but nonetheless, we have Switzerland thinking. We are looking over to the mountains of Liechtenstein.
Let's see.
Blinky is in the right valley.
He's in a back alley and is still just 2 kilometers off. That's, I mean, wow.
Listen.
It brings a smile on my face to see how consistent he is.
It is a valley east-west, okay, but it is Switzerland. There
are valleys, there's mountains everywhere.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? As we now go up towards the north, seems like, I mean, instantly, Blinky goes Sweden.
Yeah, I want to say this landscape looks very Swedish. This dirt road through a forest with a lot of pines and birches combined. There's a chance of it being Finland, maybe, but by default, you always want to guess Sweden here. How far north are we, though? Because we have some thin trees, but they are pretty tall. Usually, you have, like, smaller trees in the north.
Well, we'll see.
That's more of a rule of thumb.
Quite a bit of distance in between them. Only 2 times multiplier, but this could be huge, and it is huge for Trisha.
Yes.
What a round!
That was an amazing guess by Trisha. That was not easy by any means.
Not at all. A massive hit to Blinky. And again, I mean, it's one of those rounds where you have to, if you can't capitalize on these rounds, when you do get Blinky off by this distance, you're not going to win. Like, there's no chance you win if you don't beat him in those sort of rounds. So really, really big for Trisha that he's able to get a good guess in here.
Definitely. And we are in the United States here. It is a type of location where, again, I could see a bunch of states. It looks like we have some southern pines, but at the same time, it doesn't look too far southern. So I could see this being Mississippi, Arkansas, but it could also be way further east in the country. So if someone commits east, and with someone I mean Blinky, and Trisha is gonna be on it in the west, there is a potential to win this maybe with 2.5, but I don't think so. He has to be very close, especially with a map. Safe guess like Blinky did, where he covers a lot of those states. I don't think he is in danger.
He's going to Tennessee. We'll see if he's going to come up victorious with this guess. Nope, but it's going to be minimal damage. I say that, actually. It's quite a big one. 1,700 at that. Both in the same state, but doesn't matter. State wide enough for the damage to come through.
Definitely, and I really like the Tennessee guess on both sides. Because as I said, I could see it being all the way east, but also around Arkansas, Mississippi, so I think with Tennessee you cover all of that.
Oh wow.
And
quick one. Is it an insta 5k for Blinky? Not giving Trisha a lot of time to work
with. The pole is a West Java Banten pole with a triangle support on the top. You also see it in Sumatra though, and on the islands, but yeah.
Further towards the south
region.
But it's going to be Blinky closer once again, trying to claw back, trying to regain some of that momentum that Trisha just got off of his Sweden guess a couple of rounds back. We now go into this next one, round number 6. Out in the open we are. Ooh, instantly some intel there on the side.
Indeed, I don't know if... Is it 54 on the side?
It looks
like it. Yeah, if that's a 54 with this long stretch, it will come down to who's gonna region guess the road, because they will both know that it's gonna be on the 54. Pretty long road though, so...
You need 5 cares at least?
There is a good chance to still pick up a lot of points even though you're on the right road.
We'll see. A little readjustment there in the end by Trisha. Gets him closer, meaning he doesn't lose as many points. But in the end, as you can see here, they're both very, very close to it. Minimal damage done there. Sets him just over 3,000. Now almost tied, just 104 points ahead. Going into round number 7.
Yeah, and we are right back in Mexico. We have this single yellow line, which you commonly found in Mexico. Also a thing in Canada, also a thing in Colombia, and a couple other countries.
But you don't want to see them
Kenya.
go Canada in this round, I suppose.
No. you
Why?
won't.
Explain to me why not. No.
You won't. It looks pretty dry. Looks
Is it
pretty
a bait
warm.
round? Is it Canada? Who knows? What are they looking for here? Is it the mountain ranges in the distance? If you can't get the insta-tail off the road itself.
I mean, what are you looking for here? Of course, you are trying to get a feel for the terrain.
Yeah.
Trying to spot big volcanoes, big mountains, mountain ridges, and all of that. But also just getting a vibe of where in the country you could be. Maybe you spot some, especially in Mexico, vegetation is a very good thing to learn.
5 seconds left, and of course Blinky is on point again. Is it enough?
Right
Yes, it is. And that is going to be Blinky 2-0 Trisha. Trisha, great job at staying alive in the moving game. Big hit. Nice guess on the Sweden round. But even with that, it's not going to be enough to take down the world champion.
Yeah, not at all. But I want to say, after that moving game, it was in a way where I don't want to say Blinky really dominated. Trisha really struck back, really played well. It could have gone either way, because I feel like they both missed on a couple rounds where there was potential to close it out for either side. So yeah, not the easiest game for Blinky there against Trisha.
No, not at all. I mean, for Trisha to be able to play into round 9 against Blinky in a moving game, especially, I feel like is something that goes a long way. So even though he doesn't get points off of it, still a very valiant effort up against Blinky. But that's that game done for. We now go straight into the next matchup, where we have Debra and Swan Gambit taking on one another. We're really just sending it, I mean, as fast as we can between these games today. As Debra, the spooky GeoGuessr guy over there left on your screen. We're already in this gun. We are in Southside Sweden now. And as you can see, Swan Gambit behind, but now not by as much as he was just a moment ago.
Nope, not at all. It was almost flawless pace there. We obviously don't know what happened, but at least we will see how it's gonna turn to the end. We are in round 6 already, and guess what? We are back in India.
A lot of India in this seat. I feel like if you don't know you're India, you're not gonna be in for a good time. We've had a lot of it.
If you play in this league, you definitely have to learn India.
Yeah.
It's just way too big and just too much.
Honestly, if you don't know India, you probably didn't qualify here to begin with. So.
Maybe.
Further north than where they both guessed. I feel like that's been the case a couple of times thus far, as finally Swan Gambit able to strike back and now set himself in the lead over Debra. Debra, I feel like a very momentum-heavy player. Sometimes frustrations can get to him, but we've also oftentimes seen him like get just 1 or 2 good guesses in, and he becomes practically unbeatable.
Yeah, that's what it's coming down to, or can come down to, and we are in South Africa, also a country we have seen in a couple games today. We have those mountain ranges very close to the city. You see in a lot of suburbs of Cape Town. So, who's gonna pick the right one?
Yeah. Debra saying, you know what, I will take those extra 15 seconds. Go a bit further off towards the east, but doesn't matter. Swan Gambit on point again. 1800 damage done, sending Debra down now to just over 1,000.
Yeah, I'm surprised he went that far outside, because I feel like if the mountains are this close to you in a big city, you should be a bit closer to Cape Town, but of course you can also see it a bit further outside, and that's what did cost him a couple points. We are in Kazakhstan. Who knows their roads?
We'll see. Hopefully they both do. We have yet to see a 10K. We've actually only had one 5K today. Maybe a 10K in the lineup.
Was it 1? I think it was more, right? It's like 2, 3. I feel like we had more.
I'm not sure, but doesn't matter. Debra here gets taken down 2 rounds in a row, but strikes back massively here in this one. Taking out Swan Gambit with a swift 9k damage done hit. And that's taken us in now to game number 2 into no move.
Yes, and Kazakhstan is also definitely one of those countries you definitely have to learn.
Yeah.
Because with how limited and how learnable the country is, if you put that in relation to how big the country is and how many points you can potentially gain off that, it's just a no-brainer to definitely learn Kazakhstan.
In Japan,
and we have this arrow on the pole,
but
which is a region-specific thing. It's a Chugoku region.
Is there enough info to get more specific lockdown off of the pole, or?
We have this body of water. So after you know you are in Chugoku, there is still a bunch of regions, but yeah. I don't know if this will lead to the ocean or if it's just a big river. It's maybe a bit too big for a river, so I feel like we are close to the ocean.
Debra went more inland, like kind of last second, the flick of his mouse there. We'll see if that comes to hurt him or not, as they're both somewhat inland. Actually, it's all the way down towards Okayama.
That is pretty far east, and Swan Gambit definitely knew something Okayama specific. Because that's a commitment there.
Yeah?
Because I know Swan Gambit practiced Japan. I know that. Therefore, I feel like he knew something.
Practice pays off. Debra insta-sends it towards Adelaide. Hasn't committed fully to the guess, though. Just the early vibes. Sending him down there, and now Swan Gambit is there too.
Again, we have those sandy shoulders along the road, combined with the vegetation. It's very South Australian, but again, it's a very hard state to region guess. You've seen it
both in
not
and
the first
around,
time today.
In and around the right area. As we now take it into round 3 so far. Swan Gambit taking both these first 2 rounds, but not really too much damage to write home about. As this 3rd round, Geolotus, what are you thinking? They're going Turkey.
Yes, I do agree, and I also do like their guesses. I like Debra's guess. It could be a bit further south of that. Could also be a bit further southeast, a bit further southwest, but I definitely like Debra's guess a lot.
Right in between Istanbul and Ankara. Seems like Swan Gambit is going to go a bit further east. It was actually west side Istanbul. So on the European side of things.
Yep. It's very unlikely because you barely have any mountains west of Istanbul. There's just a couple along the coast there. So that made it a bit unlikely to be there.
And look where we are.
And we have...
Do you get the city
Latin
on that
script.
green up there?
Yeah, we have. Don't know what it's saying though.
K-H-A something. K-H-U. I'm not sure.
Marty.
I think it's cool. I think Swan Gambit has the city.
I think Debra is on the city as well. So really shouldn't
a bit further up towards the north.
Any points.
Nah.
Even if it was, it would have been like, what, 50 points instead? I don't know, but...
True. Close enough.
Still
Close
important
enough
to get it. Still important to get it right, at least the right region.
Well, let's see now. Salt Lake City is where Debra is hovering early on. I don't see a whole lot of moments in frame, but maybe they're there.
Big Dry Valley. I thought this could even be California. We don't have the California stripes on the pole. Happens sometimes. I could also just be wrong. That also happens sometimes.
It's rare. More rare than me, but it happens. At least you don't get UK on a South Africa round, you know?
No. I could see myself doing that. I could see myself doing that. Therefore...
Well, it's round number 5. Debra sits with a pretty decent lead thus far. As he's now just going to go... Nope, at least I thought initially he was just going to send it straight in between the 4 states, but not to be. It is going to be in Utah, south side of Salt Lake City, but great guess nonetheless.
Yeah, a very diverse looking state, I must say. Utah has it all. Also a state that has been covered in very different seasons, which makes it look way different from time to time.
This antenna looks unique. Is it unique enough to pinpoint the region that you're in?
I didn't pay attention to the antenna, but
It's
this
like
rolling hill landscape.
Regular antenna
Looks
with a
at
bit of red next to it. There you see it on Swan Gambit's screen. I just really like the small bit of red made me think that
no,
maybe
that's
there was something
small
specific.
bit of red. That's not helpful.
Okay.
That can happen. That can happen in a lot of places.
Okay.
The brake light. Well, in Kaliningrad, you almost always see it. So therefore, you know, if you don't see it, you can maybe rule out Kaliningrad. But
Swan
besides
Gambit.
that,
Barely even zooming in here. Wanted to send it in between Kazan and Moscow. Debra went further east, and that's going to be the 2-0 come through. Swan Gambit taking down Debra with 2 big hits. One in moving, one in no move. Secures the 2-0, secures the 3 points, and stays ahead.
yeah, Swan Gambit didn't make it easy for Debra in the moving game. However, on the no move, I would say Debra really dominated that one.
We come in, we get to see a couple of rounds, and swing, Debra 2-0s. Able to come out victorious here against Swan Gambit. But as you're saying, a tricky one going down. So far today, we've had some pretty good games, but I feel like it's been a lot of America, North America in particular, and a lot of India in play here as well. And it's come out, it's shown us the difficulty of this game, as we can see the scores of the other games we've had in the past now here as well. V89 loses to Malfunction 2-1, and then Flyy taking a loss against Amarain as well, 2-1 to Amarain in that matchup.
Damn, we have a lot of NPC games today.
Yeah, it's gone all the way
3,
in
4, 5, 6,
all
7.
except through 4.
Yeah, 7 NPC games is insane.
It's been like that. You can see here next up it's going to be Finnbar versus V89. But now an updated leaderboard as how things are looking right now. Radu still set up in first place. Of course, he's played 5 more games. Or maybe 2 more games. Sorry, my math is off. Then Blinky. So still a catch-up to be made. But of course, still a lot. And I say a lot. 13 weeks of the GeoGuessr World League left to be played. So this leaderboard can change up 1 trillion times. But nice to see how things have gone thus far. Now, we are going to go to a break. But stick around. Once we're back, we'll see you again real soon. Next matchup is going to be Finnbar versus V89. Thanks, GeoGuessr, for letting me become part of your world so quickly, and that I got a chance to see Blinky lift the trophy after that insane grand final. It was an experience I'll never forget. So now, with 2025 right around the corner, I have an idea.
Now, don't get me wrong, I love Sweden. We've already had the World Cup there twice. GeoGuessr 2025 World Cup. Denmark. So to all you GeoGuessr fans out there, let me show you what Copenhagen has to offer. Fancy architecture. Easy to recognize signs. We have historic buildings. Red roads. A royal family. World-class dining. A super cool theme parks. We got the best beer in the world. Presumably. So, when you're done exploring the city, when you've tasted all the varieties of smørrebrød and you've found out the true meaning of hygge, we'll meet here.
Where Winston Churchill laid the foundation of what would become the European Union.
Long live the cause of freedom.
Where big-time artists like Rolling Stones, Louis Armstrong, and the Beatles have performed.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I welcome you to Copenhagen and the KB Hall, the venue of the 2025 GeoGuessr World Cup Finals. Oh, and there will be a bar.
Welcome back, everyone, after that brief break there. We are getting ready for the matches to come in just a short moment, but before that, I want to ask you, have you ever had a chance to attend a GeoGuessr World Cup? Well, if you haven't, now is your time, as the next one has been announced. And you know what? We have a little video that we want to show you of how exactly the last World Cups went down and what you can expect coming into the next one.
Here's where it comes down to. Oh my god, I think Contis might be closer. Just by a hair.
Like he's going Finland as well. Is they come down this?
It's locked in.
Contis! Is he the winner?
Did he get it? Contis 748 damage, and he will win.
In a foreign country where he's not comfortable, like he knows it, his bones are coming off. It looks like we've got a new champion, Nobel laureate, the one who has unearthed the GeoGuessr World Cup Championship of 2024.
The GeoGuessr hype World Cup vibes are real, and you can get a ticket. Hop over to geoguessr.com/World Cup and buy your tickets now for the World Cup taking place here in Copenhagen, Denmark in August. And remember that you can, by subscribing to this Twitch channel, add to the prize pool. All the Twitch subscriptions contribute to the prize pool, so if you want to see that prize pool increase for the World Cup to come, make sure to subscribe. And now, with that out of the way, Tris, I left you not talking for a couple of minutes. I'm sorry about that, but talk to me about this Finnbar V89 matchup we're about to see.
All good. I mean, you had some very important stuff to mention.
I did.
Especially the World Cup. I've been there. I was there as an analyst, but I was a bit jealous. Wish I would have been in the audience, honestly. The vibes were amazing. So yeah, really want to see all you guys there. And I've been looking at the leaderboard, and we see V89 and Finnbar being on 7th and 8th place.
It's close.
It's really a head-on-head, two very, very strong players, both in the top 10. And I think Finnbar is looking for that sweet 3 points, because that's what he needs to overtake V89 on the leaderboard.
Yeah, I mean, they're set, as you say, right behind one another, but as much as you say Finnbar needs or wants the points, who do you? I'm kind of throwing you out on the deep end here. Who wins this? Give me a prediction.
I mean, I'm kind of the Finnbar fanboy.
Fair enough. But does it 2-0 or does it 2-1?
Totally no bias.
Does it 2-0 or does it 2-1?
Super strong, but I want to say 2-0 for Finnbar.
You know what? Then I go 2-1 V89. I like it when the casters
fair.
are on opposite sides of things. As you can see here, V89, his average guess time a lot lower than what a lot of these other players we've seen. Almost twice the time Finnbar takes to get his guesses in than V89. So maybe that's going to be what's needed. Setting up the speed a little bit and catch Finnbar off. Of course, the Irishman is hard to catch off, but maybe V89 has it in him to do just that. And as you can see here on the leaderboard now too, with it of course being updated, they're sat just 3 points apart.
Exactly, and yeah, we saw the stats. We saw Finnbar is the stronger player based on the stats, but we have been fooled by the stats a couple times.
True.
But yeah, Finnbar has been very locked in on the previous games he played so far. Had some very insane guesses. Some guesses where he himself was surprised how well he played. So really on top of his game right now, but V89 isn't someone to underestimate. Also a very, very strong player.
So V89 goes into Belgium early on. Finnbar is still down towards central France, actually on the southwest side of Paris. Now he swings back last second.
He's playing tricks on us.
Hey, Finnbar. The bait's coming out here early on. Still off by 16 points, but that could have been a whole lot more had he not done that last second adjustment.
Toby, I was about to switch up my prediction there, but good thing he switched his guess.
It was for content. It was for content.
In Australia, definitely. We are in Australia, and we have, again, try not to mention polls challenge impossible today.
Yeah.
We have those Stobie polls, which are South Australia, not specific, but I mean 99%.
The game you talked the least about polls was when Swan Gambit was playing, which is kind of ironic.
Why was it ironic?
Well, I mean, I don't feel like I need to explain my joke. It was good. What do you mean, Geolotus? I'm not gonna fall for that. In the meantime, I mean, Adelaide too has had a lot of screen time today. And, well, they're both in and around this area, so you'd have to imagine it's down here somewhere. And indeed, it is, both within 20 kilometers of the location. But once again, we're going down to that south side of Australia.
Yeah, definitely. Also, this time it was a bit easier to region guess within South Australia because we had those vineyards all over the place. And those are very commonly found around that area, and especially east of Adelaide. And it looks like we are right back, though.
Train tracks. Not enough to go by early on. Finnbar going up the street initially, but now reversing, going back. I mean, it is...
definitely.
If you know the region, maybe you can line up the crossing of the train tracks here. I don't know. Is it too much to ask?
You could, if you really know exactly where you are.
It seems like Finnbar knows the road. He's going up and down looking for this train track crossing.
Yeah, there are a lot of train tracks along the roads in Australia, so he has some here, but we are right on it. Therefore, I don't think that does make sense.
Oh,
now he
he's
does switch because he knows it can't be there. It was like all the way further south. It looked very outback. Therefore, I can respect that guess from Castrola going all the way north there.
Out in the middle of nowhere. As we go into round number 4. Damage done on both sides. The majority of it has come towards V89. As we go, I mean, wow, quick hunker
Very
plunk
quick
here.
guess, yeah, and also we had Finnbar moving right away. He didn't even make a 360. So he really tried to get that information as quick as possible, but Castrola didn't allow it. However, he's still getting a little bit closer.
And this is what you do, right? I mean, we've seen it a similar playstyle to an MK plays, how you go in for these almost instant guesses, and you don't really care when you lose a round by 100, 200, 300 points. It's because you know it's going to come back to you when you force your opponent to play a slower playstyle, that he gets one wrong. That's when you pull back the big points. So I like the idea of not really minding losing a bit. The issue is when you're up against players that are so consistent that you give them the extra 15 seconds and they just win out every time. And this time around, actually, it's going to be Finnbar with the first guess. What do you think he's listening to? You can see him vibing with the headphones on.
Probably, I want to go with
right now?
Taylor Swift.
Feel like his mouse goes bow, 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 bow. Maybe just listening to some really deep, dark trance music, as he's actually... whatever he's listening to is working 1 kilometer off.
I mean... I don't think Finnbar listens to trance, but who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe
We'll have to ask him. We do get to talk to him. We do get to talk to him later.
True, we could ask him. But yeah, he's playing very well so far.
Yukurai plunk once again. V89.
Not much to work with.
Putting the tempo up high here.
Yeah, back to what you've said, I totally agree. Most of the times those minimal points don't really matter too much, especially with those multis towards the end of the game. I feel like it's often way more worth to put the pressure down rather than
That's exactly it, the pressure, right? You're trying to get into the head of your opponent. It's like mental warfare, effectively, of saying, you know what, I'm going to pressure you every single round, so that the round where you're in doubt, you know full well that you're only going to be given those 15 seconds to work with.
Definitely, and that can definitely stress out some players out there. I know there are players who get stressed when those insta plonks get sent at them back and forth.
Beautiful landscape here.
Definitely some mind games as well involved in this. And yeah, we are in Iceland again. Very, very beautiful indeed. So now we have
plenty of fjords to pick and choose between.
Yes, they are both scanning all the possibilities here. Not the easiest task, because you have just way too many of them in Iceland.
I mean,
but
he
also
does
not
have
impossible.
one east to west fjord line up, Finnbar, but is he on point? Is it the right one? Is it a Iceland 5K? No, it's not, but V89 on the other hand had it locked down, and that's gonna take Finnbar all the way down to 700.
That's
wow.
kind of a deja vu. We have a East and the West guess in Iceland again, which we saw before, but yeah, this time it was a very, very good guess from V89. Almost right on it. And almost closing out the game there.
Yeah.
Only 700 health left for Finnbar, and now we go back to those sweet couple extra points.
And this is where,
It's
like, once
do
you get hit
matter.
like that, that's where now that the pressure is back on, it can start to get to you like, oh no, now I don't have the time and I'm under pressure.
Yep.
Let's see. Finnbar, low on health.
Scanning.
Jumping around London
he
to
did
Sheffield,
it
London
last-
to Sheffield, and it is going to be all the way down towards Bath.
I don't think that would have mattered to his points at all there, because
I guess London would be a bit
He
closer, but
would-
whether you're on 209 or 240, I don't think it's going to be the biggest difference when your opponent is at
Yeah.
4,000.
yeah, and London is also a bit further east, so I think that would have equaled it
Yeah.
out maybe.
Potentially.
But we are in Malaysia, and I want to say it looks like Borneo. Finnbar did have his map open as he crossed a mile marker, so he didn't check it
Oh,
because
no.
he was probably busy opening the map. I don't know if that mile marker would have helped him.
I like it when we get that feature where we can see what they're looking at. I know there's
Definitely,
different things that
that's
can do that, but it's
such an-
always interesting to see where their eyes are, because you can see players miss info sometimes to go, oh, why didn't he see that?
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
now
and then
he stopped. Now
there
he
you
stopped
go,
at it.
there you go. But then obviously oftentimes there's a good reason, but now he gets it lined up. How much info do you get off of this, though? It seems like they found the exact same info, but like in different places, and they're, I mean, you would assume that their guess is going to be identical, but 209, Finnbar. Now he's flying around again. Last second readjustments could cost him this one.
He's looking for that town given on the mile marker. Can't really find it.
It's not gonna be. He was down there, but it's not to be.
Yes, I don't know if he would have survived if he stayed, but
That would have been
Yeah.
difficult for sure. 5 times multiply here in round 9 would
Definitely.
be dangerous. And V89, again, putting the pressure on early on here, seemed to not work up until the 5,000 point round that he came out victorious in. And now we go into no move.
yeah, definitely something I didn't predict on the moving game for V89 to come out as the winner, but with that guess in Iceland, he really gave himself a very big lead, a very good advantage.
Ireland, at least initial marker put down for Finnbar.
Yes, definitely looking like Ireland. And with Finnbar, as someone who is from Ireland and also did practice a little bit of Ireland, I think.
Standing side by side, waving over to his
yeah.
Finnish friend. Out victorious here in the first round in this game as well. And of course needs to come out victorious in this game if he wants to take it into round 3. Wait, have we? I was gonna say we've had this exact location earlier today, but there's no way.
I can't
It looked
recall
very
it.
much. It looked very much like an area
I mean-
we were in earlier. But of course, hey, I mean areas can look the same.
Yeah, that's an India moment where you start
I was like, that, the
thinking
cow
everything looks
crossing
the
the street
same.
that way, and that house. I was like, wait a minute, but no,
Yep.
not quite the
Yep.
same.
Nope. Not at all.
Where
This
are
is an
we here?
interesting one.
No bullets, no antennas, exclusively dirt road and foliage, and bad camera quality. What are you thinking?
It looks like Cambodia, but
What sent you there? Just vibes?
yeah, I want to say the vegetation, but
I mean, it can't be anything else, can it?
it could
Outside
be
of
India.
camera quality.
Oh, you mean as clues? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly,
Like with this camera, you only consider India and Cambodia.
Okay.
But actually, oh, okay. I'm not sure.
Give me a guess.
Not
Where
sure
is
though.
it?
Those fields look Cambodian, but everything else looks off.
Oh,
I
that's
would-
good.
Yeah,
You're
I'm not sure
in
at all.
doubt. Seems like they're in doubt. V89, he has. I mean,
Yep.
he's not one to like to
I
give
mean, with
Finnbar
them-
this much time to work with. And this time around, he even seems insecure about it. He's gonna go east. Finnbar goes a bit further west, and they're both pretty much identical distance to
Yeah.
the actual location.
Oof. Yeah, equally far away, but I would have not guessed there by any means, so good for them at least getting the right country.
Down to Yucatan. Finnbar goes early on. Seems like V89 is gonna follow. Plonk it down. We know that's the play style, but Finnbar now given 15 seconds extra to try and see if he can line this one up.
Yeah, said it before, Yucatan or this peninsula region of Mexico is very recognizable, and the country itself is very known to be guessable based on vegetation. So you have different cactus types, you have actually a lot of different plants, crops you can use to region guess Mexico. I don't think there's any country where you can use it more than in Mexico.
Santiago plug now for V89. Do you like this Chile guess?
Yeah, definitely looking like Vina del Mar region.
It's obviously not going to be in
and
Santiago.
west.
Just saying. There ain't a whole lot of houses there, but they're practically on top of one another. That's, how does that happen? I mean,
it's
V89
just-
plunks it. He doesn't even zoom in on the country. And Finnbar is right next to him.
Yep. The way it happens is just that some countries have clusters of coverage, but it's just a default guess, you know?
Okay.
When you have like this certain X terrain with those foliage, you just assume it's somewhere.
Wait, they're lining up
that's
very specific
how they-
roads here. Is this a unique, like, known road?
Yes, yeah. I mean, it is, again, you have fall coverage, and you have the hills. So therefore, this region of Russia makes a lot of sense. Finnbar is right on it, though.
How do you
He
best
is
Finnbar in Russia?
he is known to be very good at Russia.
Practically wrote a PhD on Russia for GeoGuessr purposes. A
Yeah, I
massive
don't think
document.
Anyone
that,
has studied Russia as much as Finnbar did.
Exactly.
There are a lot of players who enjoy playing Russia a lot, learning it a lot, but no one did it as
I feel like
much as Finnbar.
no player knows Russia as well as they do without some sort of credit having to go to the work that Finnbar has put in to
definitely.
teach everyone this country. And once again, he's going to come up victorious. A 1,200 point hit followed by an 800 pointer. Sends V89 down to 2,500 health now. Finnbar, of course, trying to strike back, trying to make sure that this goes into an NPC.
Yes, he's doing very well in this no-move game so far. Against V89, barely lost any points. But this is something where it potentially could happen, but I have to go into that car meta again. We don't see any car, which is very commonly found in Austria. If it is Europe. Especially with this landscape given. We have those alpine pines. We have those snow-capped mountains. And
What?
V89 is in the right valley there.
Not only is on the right road, he's just across the valley. V89, he knew something. Had he spent more time, like, fully locked in on that east side there, that would have been potentially a 5k. But once again, I mean, his early sense paying off massively.
Definitely not the easiest task to get the right valley. I mean,
First,
the
I mean, maybe he's just
coverage
maybe
gets-
that's what the V means. V89, Valley 89. Maybe that's who he is. First he does it in
Maybe.
Iceland with the fjord, and now he does it in Austria.
I don't know what it stands for, but we could agree that it might just stand for valley. And he's just...
Now
good
it
at
does,
knowing
until
valleys.
proven wrong. Now it will. Until the Twitch catches up and they all tell us what it stands for, then it means valley.
True.
Let's see
the
here.
Kali
Cambodia
guess.
guesses
It is
as
Kali.
Finnbar, the 4999. Big
Yeah.
damage come through. And that sends us into an NPC. He knew the city. He knew the road almost. And now we're tied at 1-1. Sigh of relief for Finnbar. Swapping back to the Taylor Swift bangers as we go into an NPC.
Yeah, he was just way too consistent with it in this no-move game.
Yeah.
Didn't make any mistakes. And even if V89 made an insane guess in Austria, getting the right valley, you usually are only one valley off or two valleys off. So not many points to pick up there.
Here we go.
Unfortunate for him, but he has another chance to win this match in this NPC game.
NPC and cloud formations.
I thought we are further north here.
That's the danger, right? The danger of the insta-sense is that you can go, oh, wait a minute, because only then do you see the extra little frame, the extra pixel of a bush in the distance that sends you elsewhere. But nope, they both were in and around the right area. 300 damage down over to Finnbar.
I mean, They both end up in Victoria. I thought of New South Wales, but with them both guessing Victoria, I probably was wrong, but yeah.
Happens.
This looks like Kalimantan, I want to say. It is hilly Kalimantan, so could be north, could be west. Those are where you find the most hills.
Vietnam already locked in, trying to go east in this one. And this time around, hits closer once again. Only 2 rounds in, almost 1,000 damage done to Finnbar. We'll see if he can strike back here in what is guaranteed to be the final game of this matchup. I feel like there's a certain script going on right now with open plains.
Yes.
I
don't like it because
today.
I also have to make a guess along with them.
So what are you thinking? Thinking? What are you thinking here?
I thought Canada.
Wait. Are we going Canada and Whoa, this could be
a
game.
Russian. Okay, that building does not look Russian at all.
This could be game. This most likely will be game. 13 against 4,800.
Oh, wow.
Finnbar strikes back, strikes home, and takes the win 2-1.
Yeah, I think V89 was afraid that it is Russia against Finnbar and tried to put the pressure on there.
But that's
and
also
not
the danger,
give him
right?
the time to region guess it right. But I just think he didn't think through the round enough to make a guess on which country it actually is.
And that's
he went
the issue.
right to putting the pressure on there. Yeah.
That's the danger. The danger, I guess you can say, with these insta-sense very early guesses is that sometimes you don't get to read the full screen properly before you just go off of your hunch, go off of your vibe. And then as soon as you've clicked in, you've locked in, you go, wait a minute. And that's when your eye catches the building in the distance going, oh wait, there's no way that can be there. And this time around, it comes to cost him. Unfortunate game for him, but great win for Finnbar.
Yeah, definitely. And that's also something, if you are very good at one country, you're not only good to region guess within it, you're also good at ruling it out if it's not that country.
Yeah.
So with Finnbar being very good at Russia, he probably just ruled it out immediately and knew there's only Canada left with a plane like this.
Exactly. Great game, great round to finish off that matchup. Big damage coming through. That's a V89 from Finnbar. V89 had a great game himself, though a lot of really solid guesses, both in Austria and and in the Fjord guess up on Iceland. But now we are headed over to the last matchup of this set of games here today. Of course, there will be even more GeoGuessr later today, so do not worry. If your favorite players didn't play yet, they will be on later. But now, it's going to be Lenley. It's going to be Malfunction taking it on. And in this matchup, we have already seen Lenley play today. Who do you have coming up victorious here?
Yeah, I mean, Lenley versus Malfunction is an interesting game. Malfunction is more of a moving player. I want to say Malfunction is up there as one of the best moving players. It's safe to say that. On the other hand, Lenley also got way better at moving than he was before. And that's really what it's most of the times coming down to in these formats, because you start off moving. But looking at these stats, I want to say Lenley has that advantage.
Definitely looks that way. 46% up against 41. Even in guessing times, though, we get to see them here on the overall leaderboard. Even amount of matches played, but Lenley sitting that far ahead. Currently tied with Moo up at 24 points total. So for Malfunction, this would be a huge win to climb up the leaderboard. I mean, if he 3-0s here, that jumps him straight up into that top 20 that he would hope to get towards. But first, he'll have to best the German player Lenley.
Exactly. And we start off very urban here. In what looks like Italy. I'm gonna say this.
We haven't really had Italy today.
Nope, not
At
at all.
all?
And I'm
Is this the
missing
first one?
Thailand. I'm missing Thailand. Because
And
Thailand
Denmark.
is also a country. And Denmark, of course.
There has to be one.
I
There
feel like
has to-
Thailand is a country you see a lot in a lot of
True.
maps.
At least last week, we had a lot of Thailand.
Oh, okay. That's where all the Thailand locations
Yeah, we used
went
them.
then.
We used them last week. Sorry.
Okay, then it makes sense.
Yeah. Today we have used all of the North American ones.
But yeah, first Italy round of today. Just somewhere in the middle.
Not too much to write
both
home
not-
about on that one.
Yeah. No.
What do we see here? Round number 2. Out in the open.
We are in the open. It looked like the car was okay. Mind we are in France. Yeah.
And again,
town names that aren't useful at all.
Is that Lenny just plunking it? I didn't see if he actually zoomed in on the map there, or is that just like this is too generic a location?
Yeah, he's just doing the France guessing really.
Okay.
Going next by clicking metal.
Okay. Go Paris. Yep. Go next. Worst case, you lose a couple of points, but it's never going to be too bad, as he does actually come out and win this round. 72 damage done towards Malfunction. As we head on into the next round, both of these players hoping for some more spicy locations, and let's see where we get them. Well, we are going back towards
this time.
the east.
It is Cambodia, though. We have the Khmer language on that sign. We get a lineup from a function. I don't know if she knows something. But to be fair, that's also something I always do. Just lining it up.
Might as
Maybe
well. I mean, you're given
something.
the extra 15
And
seconds to work with.
Look at that.
Whoa! Wasn't from Penn initially, but goes north and strikes hard with it.
And those are the moments where lining up makes sense. Even if you don't know the city, you saw Malfunction looking into Phnom Penh. It wasn't there. Looked for a city with the right grid, with the right lineup, plunked it down last second. And that's how you gain a lot of points sometimes.
Nice adjustment. A big hit onto Lenley early on here. We'll see if he can turn things around.
We'll see. I mean, she isn't making it easy for Lenley. We are in Spain. We had a marker there, a road marker.
Yeah, I think they do. What is Lenley feeling?
So
Still jumping around a bit.
Function did put the pressure on, but Lenley got to the right information. However, he couldn't use the 15 seconds to get even closer, but still a bit closer.
Yeah, good one. Good round for sure. As we now head on in to the next one. Malfunction still with the lead off of that great round a couple of rounds back, as this to me seems like a somewhat unique location as well.
Yeah, it's saying Glacier County. I don't know how helpful that is, but we are in New Zealand. So far, we have a couple signs. And we see them going on the map, starting to scan for it. We have a mountain ridge along the road, which you see along the west coast a lot. But to be fair, there are a lot of mountain ranges in New Zealand. But especially with this rainy coverage, like that's a bit distinct looking for the west coast.
Let's see, Lenley, first one to lock in this time around. I was gonna say wants to put some pressure
very good
on,
signs there.
but yeah, good intel to go by. Extra 15 seconds to work with. Got really good for in previous rounds. This time around, a bit far north, but I mean, again, they're 2 kilometers apart. It's gonna be minimal.
It's really nothing.
They both have the road lined up there as well. So good job on both of them. As we now head into the next one. Once again, miles out into the open.
We are indeed. But with this, again, the season, the vegetation, those random mountains all around looks very much like Ulan-Ude region. And they both end up being there actually a bit further east. But Lenley right on it.
Right on, right on. Finally, a solid strike back.
That's a good chunk of points for them both being in the right region there.
Yeah, it's tough sometimes in these very open areas. A lot of kilometers between them. As we head into round 7, this game has gone by pretty quickly, and now with Lenley starting to claw back, it's looking closer and closer to even. He's sat around 700 points down now, but with 4 times multipliers in big areas like this, even as you said before, I mean, even if you're in the same region, this could be dangerous.
It could be, and we see Malfunction.
A lot of readjustments
all over the place. She did start in Amapa, but now
where are we going?
It's going a bit further southeast in Para. They both end up being there, and it's right in between them. Malfunction just a tiny bit closer.
Nice readjustment there in the last couple of seconds. Could have probably, honestly, been game had she not opted to swing back towards southeast earlier. but able to stay afloat now as we continue forth. Round 8 is upon us. And where does this one take us, Tris?
Bulgaria, with those concrete hook poles painted white on the bottom, is usually a clue for Romania, but you can also see it in other countries. In this case, Bulgaria.
Both there. Again, extra couple of seconds for Malfunction to readjust.
I don't know if they're trying to align the mountains. Malfunction switched to the north, suddenly out of nowhere. I don't know what she saw, but that is a great region guess. That is a great region guess.
Like to see it. Lenley now under pressure here. 2,500 health left to work with. 2 rounds left to play as we get to the snowy location in America.
We do have snow. By default, you usually either guess Michigan or Fargo.
Well, you know what? I like
Dakota.
this because I earlier said whoever goes North Dakota, and it seems like both of them are going to do it this time
And
around.
we have a Fargo guess. I love that guess after saying it is Fargo, and it is indeed Fargo. Malfunction knows. And that's almost game, but Lenley
He's
is
alive.
barely alive with 157.
2 rounds left to play. What are you hoping for here if you're Lenley? It's round 10. You need a massive country, and well, you've been given that, but is the region too easy to lock down? He's trying to put the pressure on now. He needs Malfunction to make a big error in order to win this one.
Definitely, and Malfunction is checking those license plates. We saw a yellow license plate, which looked a bit off for me.
Where are we? What are we working with? Nope, it's not going to be enough.
Enough.
It's not going to be enough. He's going to lose it. Lenley falls. Malfunction out victorious here in game number 1.
What a great game. What a great game.
That was close. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Definitely. Lenley was putting on the pressure on some rounds. Maybe knowing that Malfunction is more of a moving player. But honestly, she didn't care about it. She still managed to always get the right region down. And on those rounds where you had the sweet informations on the signs.
And the last second
she really
readjustments as well.
Yep,
I mean,
definitely.
oftentimes you see those readjustments kind of come out to bite you and you end up losing because of it, because you start second guessing yourself. But in her case, I mean, all the 3-4 times she did it, she only got closer.
Yeah, if you just go back and watch the game summaries and look at the final guesses, you have a way different feeling of how the game went than if you actually watched it.
Yes,
because while watching, you see how unsure Malfunction was on the Brazil round, for example. She was switching all over the place, but ended up being right with Lenley. And that's something you don't really get the feel for if you only look at the summary.
Exactly.
So
Blue
shout out to
and
all the
red
people out here watching along those games. It looks like Western Australia, maybe?
Is there any blue
With this
and red
car,
car
it could
meta?
be...
we go
no,
back
you
to
see
Adelaide
that...
again? That's like the 9th time we've been in Adelaide.
I'm not so sure this time. It
Guys,
looks
give us
weird.
something else. Lenley is going by the stats. We've been there so many times, we might as well go back again, but not to be. Not this time around as a big hit comes through. Malfunction, looking to try and make this a 2-0 game.
Yeah, it did look sandy again, but everything else, I don't know. It could have been, but by chances you go Western Australia there, especially with the red soil and the overall landscape. So he has to do something crazy here.
Oh yeah,
he has to somehow turn it around.
A lot of
after
signs.
This good lead from Malfunction in round 3 already.
A lot of signs available here for them both to work with, but the issue is it's a lot of parking lot signs and roundabout signs. Not really anything too telling of the exact location they're in.
It is very green and mountainous, so we should be in the north of Spain. Especially with this...
Lenley looks
I mean, what's Spain specific here is...
I mean, this... If
first off, the sign doesn't have a border.
If Malfunction is right on this could be game. She was a lot further east earlier, now looking towards Oviedo.
They're pretty far apart from each other, though, considering the fact that they are both in the north.
One is west, one is east. Who's gonna get it? It's gonna be even further east,
all
northeast
the
side
way
of
east.
Barcelona, and Lenley is struck out. Malfunction, flawless in the no-move game. 3 rounds in, and it's a 2-0 victory for Malfunction.
I mean, what is there to say? There's not much to say. If you have been here, if you watched this game, this was a perfect match for Malfunction, really. She played the moving game as expected, won it. Malfunction is always a favorite in moving games, I would say. But she also managed to play this well in the no-move game. She also managed to win the game previously, so a very good day for Malfunction today.
Definitely, and taking out a guy like Lenley, who has been playing a really good day himself, so they was able to take out Trisha 2-1 earlier as well. It's been a fierce competition, but Malfunction is able to 2-0 her, and then Blinky, I don't think anyone did not expect it, but out 2-0 against Rich in the other match we had going. That rounds off the first bracket of games that we're getting here today. Remember, there's more games to be played later today, as well as we get another view at the leaderboard here.
Yeah, and things are looking, honestly, as they did before as well. There's still not much movement, I would say.
Exactly. Great games. It's all very, very tight still. But now we have an interview ready. So let's invite Mr. Finnbar to the show and hear from our Irish player how his day has gone today. Welcome, Finnbar. How are you feeling after the games today?
Pretty good, yeah. I was happy with the win.
Good, man. I gotta ask you right off the bat before we get into the nitty-gritty questions, which I know GeoGuessr is gonna ask in a second. We saw you in the game against V89 sitting bobbing your head, singing along. What was running through those headphones? Because you were looking like you were vibing quite hard.
I was listening to some Gracie Abrams. Yeah.
There you go. Good stuff. First questions I want to ask you before I hop over to GeoGuessr really is, I mean, V89 had some insane guesses. His Iceland guess we saw, his Austria guess, and like the valleys and whatnot that he had locked down. Did you at any point feel like you were under a lot of pressure in that matchup, or how did you feel through those games?
After the Iceland, I was like quite scared because it was like round 8 or round 9, I think, when that happened. So there was not many rounds to have a chance to make a comeback. So I was starting to feel the pressure in that game for sure.
And what do you do to try and, you know, mitigate, like try to reset mental and keep going? Is there anything actively that you do to try and keep focused?
I feel like I feel pressure, but it doesn't like affect me, I guess. So I don't really like need to do anything, I feel.
Fair enough. GeoGuessr, anything you want to ask?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any questions because Finnbar played as I expected. Very well done. And you also won me as a fan, of course, after last week. After you 5K'd at Turkey, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, congrats on the games, and yeah, very well played.
Thank you.
Overall, I mean, of course, we're closing in on the halfway mark of the World League so far, Finn. But how do you feel like, I mean, looking back at the first portion of the games, are you satisfied with where you currently sat in the overall rankings, or are there any matches that still stand out to you looking back that you would really want to, you know, go back and repeat and do differently?
I think I'm pretty happy with my performance. I think I'm 7th or something overall, or 8th, but I'm like top 5 in terms of points per game, just because I haven't played as many games as some other people, so I think I'm in a pretty good spot. I'm happy with it. And
lastly, is there anything that you're looking to try and not do differently per se, because obviously, I mean, you're playing pretty great so far, but anything in particular you're focusing in on with the matches to come over the next couple of weeks?
I think I won't do anything in particular. I'll just keep playing the game, keep having fun with it.
I mean, you know what, you're doing a pretty good job at it already, so maybe, again, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, as some people say. Any last shout-out you want to give to fans and viewers out there before we let you go?
I mean, shout out to everyone watching and supporting me. That's it, really.
There you go. That's all that needs to be said. Thank you so much for joining us here on this interview, Finnbar. Have a lovely Sunday. Great playing today.
Thank you.
That's Finnbar. Always nice to listen in to the main man here off of a great set of games. And even, I mean, he said it too, GeoGuessr, felt the pressure off of that Iceland guess with V89. And sometimes I feel like, especially when you're up against a player that's playing fast like that, you know they're coming in fast, and therefore you're not expecting them to be on point. So when he then gets a guess in like that, you go, wait, now he's fast and good? Like, this is scary,
exactly,
right?
Yeah. You're already under pressure, and if you have that very accurate guess, it was like 1 kilometer getting on the right fjord.
Yeah.
Probably also, even though it didn't matter points-wise, but getting the right valley in Austria is also something you see and get a bit more scared to face of them, yeah.
great games all the way through today. Were there any matchups in particular that you thought were really good? Before I get to that, I'll just say here, these are the matchups we're seeing later today. 7 o'clock is when things kick off, as we'll get to see Malfunction and Consus square off first off. Kratzu and Amani to follow, and as you can see here, we are being blessed with amazing GeoGuessr. I mean, Sunday really has just become GeoGuessr Day in the grand scheme of things. Any matchups here that you're looking at and thinking, wow, this is going to be a good one?
Definitely. I mean, I'm still hovering, scanning through the games. I want to say, of course, I want to know if Malfunction can keep that pace, especially playing against Consus. Very, very strong player there. So Malfunction is kind of a winning streak. So will she keep it or not? That's what I'm curious about in that game.
And she did manage to 2-0 Lendley, which is by no means an easy opponent to go up against. So if you can do that and then go up against Consus next, you only feel like that's going to add to the difficulty of the opponents you're playing against. But we'll see when we get around to that time. Again, of course, remember everyone, the World Cup has been announced already, and you can get your tickets right now. Even though the tournament's not before August, you can already now go and buy your tickets. So if you want to make sure that you get yourself a spot in the seats in KB Hallen or the KB Hall in the end of August, make sure to hop over to geoguessr.com/World Cup and get your tickets now. Also, if you're a Twitch subscriber, or if you do subscribe on Twitch, all those subscription monies will go straight to the prize pool of the World Cup. So if you want to help increase the total amount of money that these pros can come out victorious with, make sure to subscribe here on Twitch. Any closing thoughts for you, Chalotris, before we end off this first section of today's games?
I mean, it is really as every single Sunday. We have some amazing games to watch, amazing people. The chat is going crazy, especially on those Lenley games. I think Lenley won a lot of fans during those weeks playing here. I've seen them on my second screen. I see all this cheering for Lenley. That's really nice to see. So yeah, always keep supporting the players.
You love to see it. You love to see this level of play. We've had some amazing guesses throughout the day, and we will get even more of them in the weeks to come. Again, remember, there is going to be GeoGuessr played tonight. It's going to be wherever you are in the world in almost exactly 4 hours. So make sure to tune in then. And until then, play more GeoGuessr. Thanks, GeoGuessr, for letting me become part of your world so quickly, and that I got a chance to see Blinky lift the trophy after that insane grand final. It was an experience I'll never forget. So now, with 2025 right around the corner, I have an idea.
Now, don't get me wrong, I love Sweden. We've already had the World Cup there twice. GeoGuessr 2025 World Cup. Denmark. So to all you GeoGuessr fans out there, let me show you what Copenhagen has to offer. Fancy architecture. Easy to recognize signs. We have historic buildings. Red roads. A royal family. World-class dining. A super cool theme parks. We got the best beer in the world. Presumably. So, when you're done exploring the city, when you've tasted all the varieties of smørrebrød and you've found out the true meaning of hygge, we'll meet here.
Where Winston Churchill laid the foundation of what would become the European Union.
Long live the cause of freedom.
Where big-time artists like Rolling Stones, Louis Armstrong, and the Beatles have performed.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I welcome you to Copenhagen and the KB Hall, the venue of the 2025 GeoGuessr World Cup Finals. Oh, and there will be a bar.